college down in Gorham. Chris You're a good man, you know that better. You can't type.
You can vote.
We're good? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the County Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, March 18th, 2026. At this point, I'll call the meeting to order and I'll call the roll. Commissioner Tremble.
Yes.
Commissioner Marshall.
Here.
Mr. Treasurer.
Here.
And the chair is present. I would ask Commissioner Tremble if he would be kind enough to lead us in the pledge today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Tremble. At this point, I would ask for approval of the minutes for the March 4th meeting.
I will move we approve the minutes of March 4th.
Have a motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Sleep
Have a
on the switch
motion
over there.
and a second. That's cold. Everything's a little slower moving this morning.
Yeah.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. At this point, we would offer an opportunity for the public to address us on items that are not on the agenda. We offer up to 3 minutes for you to present any topic. Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to present? Seeing none. Do we have anyone online at this point? We do not. He is not, okay. Well, at this point then, we will close public comment. We will ask our IT director, Mr. Penny, if you would be kind enough to come forward. Good day.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, coming to you to talk about possibly going into RFP for a new email security software. I did provide you 2 different documents. One of them is actually a quote for new email security software. The quote was provided by our vendor, GovConnection. Hopefully that's in your documents there.
It is.
Perfect. So after discussing with my account manager for GovConnection, he did let me know that the state had already gone out to RFP and authorized a contract. So the state of Maine has gone to RFP process and awarded it for this quote.
Okay.
So my question for you is, do you want to discuss the quote and possibly accept it, or do you want to do your own RFP?
What is your assessment of the program that the state has?
So I did have a meeting with them. I do believe that they may be a better option than what we currently have. So we are currently using Barracuda. And this quote is for Mimecast.
Okay.
The security features are on par and a little bit better here and there. And the quote itself is actually pretty decent. It is a 3-year contract, so we'd be locking in the price over 3 years. And it is not significantly cheaper, but it is cheaper than our renewal for Barracuda. So Barracuda, we're paying about $21,000. This would be about $17,600
Per year.
per year.
Per year.
So it would reduce the cost, put $3,000 back into the budget. The other really nice thing with the quote is we don't go out to renewal until November. Under this quote, we would actually get free months. So if you look at the quote, it says March 31st, 2026 to November 30th. We would get all of those months for free. And then
3 months gratis, I like that.
so it'd be like 8 months free until the renewal of November, and then it would be the $17,000. So it's a really good quote, but I'm offering the opportunity to either accept this under the state contract, or we can do our own RFP.
Understood.
And do you see a difference in need between what we would have in a contract and what the state has secured?
So the state contract really only talks about maximum cost, I believe. So the state contract says you can't go over, I think it's 3% above cost. So that's really the contract that the state has. This contract is a little bit different.
When you say the vendor cannot go more than 3%.
Yeah. So that's what the contract with the state has, is essentially saying the vendor cannot go over this price point.
Do we have any such stipulation in our current contract with our current,
We do not that I'm aware of, no.
you think that, and that's a good addition?
I think just the 3-year contract locking in the price is good.
Yep.
It's better than what we currently have.
Okay.
Because Barracuda, I believe they could increase the cost year over year, which I believe they already have then. So just having a fixed cost for the next 3 years would be beneficial.
Mr. Administrator, do you have any questions, comments?
Well, my comment is it's on the agenda was, based on my letter of authority, I was questioning that he even needed to be here because we had a conversation on it. But to ensure that we had it covered, I asked Director Tenning to come and present it to you. I believe that we should never go with just one quote. I think we should go through the RFP process to ensure that we do our due diligence, which is why he's here presenting that and asking you guys that question. So we're affording you the opportunity to look at it and make a determination.
Time frame that you have to renew your current provider if we don't do something now?
So Barracuda is good until November.
Okay.
This quote's only valid until the end of this month.
Two questions. One, I think we still need to, don't we still approve all contracts and the bids? Why wouldn't we need to do this?
You mean send it RFP?
No, why wouldn't we, under your, sorry.
On budget management.
Right, but it's a not budget, I mean, it's a bid. I mean, we still approve all bids, I think, don't we? We should be. But we can talk about that later. But on this one specifically, I generally concur that I'm a stickler that we should bid anything out, but it seems like the state bid this and we can go under state bids and this is less than, I'm generally in that school of thought that we should bid more than less, but I'm fine with this in this situation.
I think he's done his diligence, and obviously this is, if we don't do this by the end of the month, do we lose the opportunity to piggyback on the state?
No, we would still have the opportunity. It's just this quote itself wouldn't be valid.
Oh.
So I'm not sure of the exact pricing. I would have to get a new quote, but we would lose out probably on the free couple months and possibly a 3-year locked-in pricing.
We do the same thing with the patrol cars. I mean, we can do the state contract on patrol cars.
But I don't know if we do the patrol cars now, because we found this vendor.
Oh, that's right.
State.
Yeah.
For patrol cars. Other things that I think we. So, today is the 18th. How long would we need to RFP this before, and we don't have another meeting in March? So one suggestion is we could go to RFP, take a vote that if RFP does not equal this current terms of contract, that we would authorize the administrator to go forward with this contract for 4 months in, so that we lock in the pricing and the terms.
Well, I trust Brandon. If he thinks this is a good quote and you're comfortable with it, we should go with it. Now,
Understood.
One of the other considerations is we can go, as you suggested, out to RFP, have them come in, and even though we're not meeting, we could schedule a Zoom meeting to address this specific issue at the appropriate time if the administrator thinks that is doable.
Is this packet online?
the RFP,
The details in this state contract.
I have access to it through my vendor, yeah.
I'm just, if we're gonna go out to RFP and this is publicly available, then everyone knows what the contract is.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, I think at this point, it gives anybody else an unfair advantage over this bid because they know what the bid is. That's the other issue. So I just, if this was a higher price than what we're paying, I would feel differently. But less than what we're paying and the state bid it out, and the state, I just don't see a big deal about handing it over to.
So are we ready to,
I would recommend we go ahead with the recommendation.
Okay, I like this. I like the
Yep.
administrator's recommendation.
okay, so I have a motion on the floor to support the director's recommendation. Is that how I understand
I
it?
guess so.
Okay. So what I'm sensing is there's a policy issue here, which I respect, but we're also dealing with a state sanctioned price that seems to be less and better terms than what we may get. So you would be comfortable in this particular instance if we move forward?
Right.
Okay. Do we therefore have a second?
We now have a second.
Okay, we have a second, and do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen.
Perfect.
Good discussion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did we also have another discussion, or that was included in the LOA clarification?
Believe we're good?
It's all.
Yeah, I think, I just want clarification from the commission in regards to RFP process. I want, based on our contract discussions, I want to initiate a policy and procedure for RFP to be our standard process. It hasn't been, and so we need to start initiating that process.
Some,
Sounds like it's a good addition to our policy and procedure manual.
I agree,
Yes,
more
Chair.
RFPs is better, but, yeah, but ultimately, they need to come, to get signed off on by us at the end of the day.
I think as we evolve into clarifying what some of our processes, it will be helpful to staff. So we'll go down that road when the opportunity presents itself. But thank you for your work on this.
Thank you so much,
Okay. We are now ready for the administrator's report. I believe we are into the discussion of the two abatements that were heard on March 4th. Let's take the first one, if you're ready, for Kaufman versus State of Maine. Is there any discussion that the commission would like to have in regards to that presentation? I believe you have your packets or booklets, and you've had the opportunity to review them.
yeah, this is the Kaufman Spruce Island up in South Twin,
Correct.
like with the island, the 5 properties. No electricity, no services, no road.
As I understand this, sorry for interrupting you,
That's okay.
this is related to acreage only, not the building. Is that your recollection?
Well, that's, the question is, I'm not, I don't, once you refresh me on that.
Okay. As I remember the discussion and the information here, they own a parcel with a structure on it, on that island, and there is a parcel adjacent to that which they are questioning the valuation of, that they own.
When you say they, the
The
plaintiff?
Kaufman, yep, the plaintiff.
Okay. As I looked at that, I made my notes, but I can find it here.
I'm requesting an abatement because the 2025 taxable valuation for my 6.25 acre island property increased from 52,810 to 261,630, a 395% increase, resulting in the tax increase from 480 to 1705. There's no evidence of compatible sales supporting this drastic increase. And as I recollect, the state indicated that they did have a property in vicinity to that they had used in consideration, but it was based upon a valuation metric that they had developed for waterfront acreage on islands that were not served by some means of access
And
via
that,
footbridge or
yeah,
boat access.
I think that other property was up on Ambergis Lake, up near the pier, up near the dike,
Right.
which is, okay. Yeah, big,
So as I'm reading it-
An entire island, not a portion, right?
I believe there is another property on that island.
well, if I recall, there's 3 buildings, 5 properties, 2 unoccupied.
There is a map on the very last page of your document. It's 2002-210.
Not in here.
Very good.
Oh, what, the packet?
It's in your book. It's in your book.
That's the,
This is my book.
The Kaufman's book? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
It's not,
There-
it's not in my book. Okay.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3, there's the third structures here. Right.
So the request, get back to it here.
That exhibit B,
The page,
exhibit B.
I'm showing
Here's a
it,
Baker.
I'm showing it numbered as 2002-210.
I don't have a corresponding name for that.
But use this packet if you will,
Yeah.
unless you have
All packets have the same information. Okay, let's go ahead, that's 2002-210.
it, is the map.
Okay. There it is.
In their letter, just to refresh, this is the letter of October 9th, 2025, denying the request for abatement. After careful review, Maine Revenue Service has determined that an adjustment to the assessed value of your property is not warranted in accordance with established practice. A 20% reduction has already been applied to the base lot value of the island property to account for lack of access.
All right.
We note that some of the comparable properties you submitted for consideration are located outside of the unorganized territory. Because Maine Revenue Service does not determine or rely on assessed values to properties outside the UT, those comparisons cannot be used in evaluating your abatement request.
Right.
Additionally, your abatement application did not provide specific supporting evidence to substantiate your claim of overvaluation for these reasons. Your request is hereby denied.
Yeah.
This is from Lisa Wynot, Deputy Director of the Unorganized Territory. So the question, as I am remembering it, and it is in the letter that Mr. Kaufman submitted, which was just the back portion of the section in the, just after the orange page.
In the orange page in the.
Okay, you do in this packet that I gave you to work with. So after this, there's the letter from Lisa Wynot,
Okay, yeah.
and then I think.
Yeah, I
we go back
recall that the property he referred to was outside the unorganized territory. They extended the 20% discount applicable, and,
I think the issue is the underlying base
yeah,
assessment
Yeah, I understand
for the waterfront property has escalated significantly.
yeah, right. That answers my question. Okay.
Would it be helpful for me to read the minutes?
If you would like to, yes, sir.
The property is 6.25 acre island parcel. Spruce Island is not a single unified ownership. The island is divided into 5 separate lots. 3 of the 5 lots are already existing structures, camps. Kaufman and Totter parcel is only one of these 5 lots and shares the island with existing potential future neighbors. The property has no access to electricity nor any road access of any sort. Property was purchased in 2020 for $60,000. Assessed value in 2025 is $261,630. The Kaufman and Totter family is requesting an assessed value of $130,000 and $131,630 reduction. Maine Revenue Services Justin McMahon helped lead the reevaluation of the unorganized territory They explained the reasons the reevaluation was conducted. Mr. McMahon also reported how the Maine Revenue Services determines property values and presented a sales ratio study, which is performed yearly. Ms. Totter asked whether evaluation methods differentiate between properties with electricity versus without electricity, properties that have footbridge or improved access or bringing materials to an island versus properties with no road or improved access of any kind.
Thank you. Questions or comments regarding the dispute in my observation is based upon the valuation which seems to have been applied to the land itself, not the structure. So it calls into question how significant increases in waterfront property are going to be handled and how we're going to do that. This is unique, again, because it is an island. There is a formula that the Department of Maine Revenue Service has applied.
In the credit, that's a 20% credit, giving acknowledging that aspect, I understand that. And I see, if I remember correctly, I think the Coffins originally requested a higher reduction and then lowered it to the current, what is it,
176, I think, was the figure, and change that I thought.
it's a reduction of 130. From 261 to 130, so, yeah. Okay.
I mean, if we want to do some more research, I think looking
Well, there's
through.
more research, we gotta go on what was presented at the hearing, so there's more research we can do. I mean, we can look at the documents here,
Right.
we can't do any research.
I didn't intend.
Right, I think that's why, wait a minute, look at this.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of material. I think it was presented well.
We made consideration.
The burden's on the property owner, the applicant, but I think they've made a pretty good case. It's just, you're right, there's more to look into here. It's like, is their request the right amount, or is it somewhere in between? I think I'm open to some type of adjustment here. It's just, the burden's on them to prove what it should be, and I think they've made a good case, and if we want to do something different, we've got to have something to hang our head on, say, why are we arriving at some other number? And I mean, I think the comp they looked at makes sense, and their thought process seems very reasonable in this. It doesn't seem unreasonable.
Well, the fact that they lowered to 20% consideration by the state and reduced their initial request from 261 down to 130 shows that they have approached this in a fair manner, I think.
Well, the 261 has already taken on the 20% reduction, I believe. That
Let me see. I'm not sure.
Well, the state used the standard.
They took the 20% reduction to get to 261,
Yeah.
630.
Yeah, that's reflected already
Right.
in the state's.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah, that's right.
Do we want to postpone action on this until we can review the documents that we have been presented a little further and determine? My position is, if there is a standard applied across all waterfront, and then valuation is adjusted for limited access of this nature, does this open up problems
Others,
if we're not using a consistent process?
yeah.
Right. I think this state has tried to take into account the fact that it's an island property, but I don't know if the 20% reduction is reflective of what the market, I mean, when they showed the sale on an entire island versus their parcel, which is a part of an island, it's quite different from what they're assessed at. So,
It's a leap.
you know, I don't know if 20% the proper
Exactly.
adjustment they should be making. Not just the fact that it's on an island, but this has, some islands have electricity, this doesn't have electricity. At one point, the state had made adjustments for utility right-of-ways. They've taken that adjustment away, I believe, not on this parcel, but I think on some others that we had talked about, so.
So is the commission desiring more time to review the documents we've been provided again? Or do you want to?
Well, it comes down to, you've got two positions that equally have merit. And depending on how we decide, if we decide on the part of the applicant, does that throw everything else into the question regarding the formula that is used for all of these like situated property owners?
The problem is there's not a lot of sales data, and so it's hard to, just this one that's showing in the application, it's hard. I mean, if there were 3 or 4, it'd be a little easier to make.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
Decision,
saying, is
but
how,
I think that's the same
widespread.
problem the state has, there's not a lot of data, especially in that area. You can't look at, UT an hour away, it's gotta be pretty, proximity has to be pretty close to
Yeah,
that.
I think that the use of non-UT properties are,
I don't think
It's
that's
not-
a problem
not
if it's
consistent.
close to that, like if it's in Millinocket versus, I mean, this is right next to the, an organized area. So it's not like it's in the remote part of, northern Maine. We're not up in the
remote.
we're not up in the
we're
Allegheny.
all remote up.
Well, you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I know this
Yeah.
area.
So while there is a valid request here, there is a process that appears to be consistent.
I find no fault with the process, but I find merit with the applicant.
And
So therein lies the dilemma.
Mhm. So my question is, are we prepared for action, or do you want to take this under further advisement and review the documents so we can?
Well, as this is an individual case that seems to be unique, I'm prepared to vote in this one situation, as it would not adversely impact the current methodology that the Department of Revenue uses in assessing these values.
Okay. Do you have a motion that you wish?
In this
to
case,
bring forward
I would move to fine for the applicant.
under the terms requested?
Yes.
So reduction of real estate value requested is 186,630 to reach 75,000 total valuation.
Yes. No, let me see.
That's what I'm reading.
Yes,
in
yes,
Mr.
correct.
Kaufman's letter.
That's correct.
Currently, the assessed value is $261,630.
Right.
And if I understand this properly, he is asking us to reduce the valuation on the real estate to $186,630 to reach 75,000 total valuation.
That's not what I read.
That's not what I-
I think he's trying to get to 130, but.
Yeah, that's what I think. He's not looking at 75, he's looking at 130. Yeah, he says,
I'm
here's the,
reading
you
the
gotta
letter.
look at the, well, you gotta look at the proposition. He says, we now request a reduction to $130,000.
Yeah.
That's in the original document.
In the original application, it said after further analysis, we now request reduction to 130 for the tax year.
Yeah, right.
They initially did request a 75,000. I would not support that initial request.
Okay.
And I think
What's the date of that letter, please?
This is the original application. This is December 1st, 2025. And it was his petition for abatement.
I see, okay, because I'm looking at Exhibit D, copy of our original application for abatement of property taxes.
Well, this is from the plaintiff.
Yep.
Or the, I guess, is that what term we use in this case? Is that the plaintiff? So we were correct in that, and that being the case, I would stand with my motion.
so I'm looking at item 8.
This is dated and received. This has got a received date from the Commissioner's Office of December 8, 2025. So it was, so it was a week after this letter was initiated, and
See the envelope. Confirmation. Thank you. Our requested assessment of 130 equates to 130,000 divided by 6.25 acres equals $20,800 per acre, which is below but in the same general ballpark as the big forest sale.
is that in his summary of tax assessment denial?
That is the letter that we received from Mr. Kaufman,
On December 1st.
8th, December 8th.
Oh, we received it December 8th, yeah, it was dated December 1st, so, okay. Same letter. Yep.
Note that Big Forest Island is a 20.87 acre parcel.
And I think Big Forest is up in Ambergis,
Right.
right? Yeah. That is within the unorganized territory. All right.
So there, as in Mr. Kaufman's and Ms. Totter's,
I wish these pages were numbered, but I mean, and they, it would be easy to refer to them, but in their letter as well, where they changed it to the 130 request, they do a lot of detail in section 7, their response to the state's exhibit, and it's quite detailed. And I mean, I think one thing
Yeah, right.
the stub toe island that the state uses, it was a listing, it was, you could put any price on it, it wasn't an actual sale, like according to their testimony. I don't know if that's, I'm assuming it's accurate, so I don't know how you can use a listing and that price to do a valuation.
when I have done some of my real estate work, we generally look for 3
Sales.
listings and 3 sales. An appraiser would likely,
And it was on the market for almost, I mean, at that point, it had been on the market for 257 days, so it's, hence to say that maybe it was overpriced at that period of time on the market.
within that same letter, again, that if you look at the page that's fully highlighted
Yeah.
here, the next page, requested relief, reduce the 2025 assessed land value of map PE 033 Plan 12, Lot 115, from 261,630 to 130. So that does validate.
And that was a motion Commissioner Marshall made to the 130?
Yes.
And we'll continue the discussion, I'll second the motion.
Okay. So we have a motion to accept the request of the applicant. Did you gentlemen remember seeing any further data on the Forest Island sale?
I believe it was in 2023.
All I see here is comparable sales data. They've got their property, they have Big Forest Island, and they have 85 Woodcock Drive in Lincoln, which is an organized territory with,
Which one are you looking at?
I'm looking at,
Yeah, that's not the card, is it?
this is within the copy of original application for abatement of property taxes is the top of the page.
I really wish they would number these things so we can
Ask our staff to do that in the future. Okay, so if you look at this, for the page that has that map and it's in column, okay? My concern is there is not within this document any,
Gentlemen,
yes, sir,
can I make a recommendation?
please.
1 April, we take these two cases and then the information from the two abatements today, and we have a working session. We review each of these in detail, and you can then make your decision.
That would make sense.
Okay, so at this point, we will not take action on the motion. You want to
I will
withdraw it?
withdraw the motion.
Okay, in a second. Okay, so we will take up the second item, either Simmons versus State of Maine. We will do a work session after we've completed the abatement hearing.
Yep.
The only dilemma I have right now is the hearings are scheduled for 10 o'clock.
Well, I think we already see it with,
Well, my recommendation is we hear the two today.
Well, we have another one, outside of Coffin, there's another one today.
There are two today. Keene versus State of Maine and DeRoche versus State of Maine.
We hear those two, and then we have a working session 1 April, we'll review all of it.
I think that makes good sense. At this point, yep, that's the Kaufman. So there are two of those if you'd like to take one.
I'll take one. The Coffin?
Yeah, Kaufman and Simmons will not be acted on today. We'll take the administrator's advice for a work session. So at this point, we have
Keene versus State of Maine?
we have two before us. Are the Keens here? They're not. The DeRoches are here. No. Okay.
Neither are here yet.
Are we doing anything online that you're aware of?
No,
Okay.
did Larry Bensinger ever show up? No.
No, in terms of the two tax hearings, which are scheduled at 10
Oh,
o'clock.
no, they're both going to be in person.
They are, okay. So they have not, to our knowledge, arrived yet.
So we have 20 minutes, do we have other business?
We have a couple of things that we could do.
All right.
Approve the warrants.
Yeah,
Yeah, approve the
definitely
warrants.
should do the warrants. Do you feel that one of those executive sessions could be handled?
In the time frame?
Yeah, I can call over to the sheriff's office and see if they can.
Okay.
Let's approve the warrants first.
Why don't we give you that opportunity, and I will call on the commission to approve the warrants.
I move we approve the warrants under item H of March 18th, 2026.
Great. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say yea or aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous. We are prepared to go into executive session for a personnel matter.
I move we go into executive session under section 405 from personnel matter.
Second?
I have a motion second. Do we want to, the other issue will probably take a little longer. So we'll go into executive session for the purpose of a personnel matter. We would ask those who are with us to give us a few minutes. We'll take a brief break for the purpose of organizing for this, and then coming back after for the hearings.
How are you handling things, Mary Ann? How are you feeling today?
Good, feeling great, feeling great.
Back up? Yeah. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are resuming the public session for the County Commissioners meeting of March the 18th, 2026. At this point, we are just at 10 o'clock, and we are going to take up items related to tax abatement hearings. Are there Keens or?
Take care of that item.
Oh, thank you, yes, appreciate that. Before we go into that tax abatement hearing, I would entertain a motion related to a request from corrections.
I would move we authorize the permanent filling of the correction sergeant position effective March 18, 26.
Second?
I have a motion second, further discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous, thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, we will now open the hearing related to, are the Keens here?
Yes.
Mr. Keen.
Mr.
One Keen. All right. At this point, we'd invite our friends from Maine Revenue who are part of this to come up as well. Yeah. You can also,
get the white table, huh?
you can. If you're more comfortable in that chair, fine, but.
I'm always more comfortable in the chair.
Thank you for being here today, Mr. Gary Keen.
So, as you know, my name's Gary. My brothers and I, we own a camp in Greenfield Township. And the latest state assessment, as you know, it's in our organized territory. The latest assessment we don't agree with. We filed an abatement, and we weren't happy with the abatement request. So we're here today to file an appeal. So our property is located at 54 Pickle Pond Road in Greenfield Township. It's a 24 by 24 camp, 576 square feet. It's one floor, one room, with a small bedroom in the back, with 2 sets of bunk beds. And I can tell you the noises and smells that come out of that back bedroom after a long day of hunting and a feed of beans is unbelievable. But that's it. Sorry to tell. It has gas lights and is heated with a gas heater. It sits on 1 acre, no foundation, it sits on the ground on posts. It's on an unplowed road, unmaintained, and whatever maintenance is done on this road is done at the behalf of very few camp owners on that road.
There is no road association.
It's a private road, right?
It's the, yeah, private,
Yeah.
I guess you'd call it private road.
It's when it happens up north.
Yeah. So, and again, it's not plowed. If people plow it, that's fine, but there are no state funds to maintain it or anything. We receive no services for the tax burden that we pay. Camp has no running water, and the bathroom is an outhouse. It is my understanding, after going through this process with the town of Dover Foxcroft, that a certified state assessor has to be within 10% of the fair market value of a house based on the certified ratio that the municipality establishes at the time. And to be honest with you, I am not sure what the certified ratio of the unorganized territories is. Do you folks know?
We may get to that in a moment.
Okay, because I know that if, towns have the right to have a certified ratio greater than 100% of fair market value. And in that case, then 10% leeway plus or minus would apply to the 110%. But I'm not sure what the state's certified ratio is, and I'd like to know. As for the comparables submitted on behalf of the state, I think they support our case. For instance, the only property that has been sold that they submitted that is anywhere near the valuation that we have was a camp that was sold for $70,000. The property is owned by Lafayette. It sits on a foundation of a cement slab. It's 1.5 stories. It has electricity. It has running water, a bathroom, which indicates that it's got a septic system, and a well, and it sits on 2 acres of land. It was sold for $70,000. The state has its valuation currently after the reevaluation at very close to what our camp is valued at with none of those amenities. No power, no maintain, and this on a maintained road as well. I can go through each of these if you'd like. The property owned by La Corza is similar to our camp in amenities, but it sits on 6.8 acres. And that camp, according to the state's data, sold for $55,000 in 2023 and $57,000 in 2025.
Which one is that?
That's the first one.
Probably, I think you're looking at the state documents,
Yeah, I knew.
which would be the second tab, not the
Yeah,
one you're
I'm
in.
talking
Yeah.
about the state's data at this point.
Yeah.
And I'll go, actually, I confused everybody. I got it listed by page that they have in the book, so.
Okay.
The first one, the property by La Corza, sold in 2025 for $57,000, very similar to ours. Number two is the property that after I'm looking at this, the only property that has a comparable sale within the last 2 years that even comes close to the valuation that we have on our camp. But as I said, that camp is 1.5 stories, it sits on a foundation, electricity on the town maintained or state maintained road, septic system, well, and again, it sold for $70,000, and our camp is currently valued at just under $76,000 without any of that stuff. Number three, the property owned by Willette. Again, similar property to our camp, but it sits on 3.3 acres, not 1 acre. It sold for $70,000 in 2024, according to the state. I'd like to see that comparable. I'd like to see that information because it seems to be the only anomaly in all of the data because it has similar things to our camp, but it was sold at $70,000 in 2021 at the peak of the COVID real estate boom. And I'm not sure that those folks are very happy with paying that price for that camp today. But I'd like to see that sale, but I don't have that information with me. Number four, the property located at 225 Cross Road in Greenfield. Again, is 20% larger than our camp. It has running water, a bathroom, a septic system, and the asking price, again, supporting our request, is $48,000. Number five, the property owned by Aviola, I think I'm pronouncing that right. It also has a bathroom, water, septic, sits on 3.45 acres. It sold for $47,500 in 2021, and again, at the peak of the COVID-induced flooding. The property owned by, some of these, from here on in the state put these properties in, but there's no comparable sales. It's like, I think they're supporting the evaluation of our camp, but to me, that is not data that supports the valuation just because they evaluate somebody else at a similar price. Valuations have to be based on fair market value, what people are willing to pay for a camp of our statute, and the rest of the data that the state has put in there kind of is just to say, yeah, look at this camp, we evaluated them the same way as this one. But anyways, the property owned by Kirk has a lot and a dug well and sits on 3 acres. And again, I'm not sure why this property and the rest were included as comparable sales because they're not. Our comparables, I don't have a lot of resources. I use Zillow for everything. Zillow does not have the final sale price in their data. But what they do have is the asking price that the real estate company was asking for the property at the time of sale. I have proposed 6 properties in there, all closed within the last 2 years. The first property, 1697 Greenfield Road on a town maintained road with power, closed at, the asking price was $45,000. I don't believe in this part of the country that we get into bidding wars on real estate. I don't think people are bidding up on camps of this nature. I think the asking price is probably the highest price you'd see being paid for these properties. There's no line of people waiting to buy a house here. The next one sold for $49,900 on 79 Myra Road, or at the asking price was $49,900, it closed. Not sure what it closed for. Goldfinch Way, $57,000. I believe that property is included in the sales data. And then this one I put in there, this next one on 1864 Greenville Road to show what somebody was asking for a trailer with a garage, with power, water, sewer, septic, twice the size of our camp. And at the time of this printing, they wanted $47,500. Since then, I've noticed that Zillow has it at $60,800. So, but again, power, water, septic, well, garage.
This is the Greenfield Road when you're talking about.
1864.
And it was listed 47.5, and what did they say? What's the?
That was when I printed this, and I think it has a date on that. But it was when I submitted it.
10/27/25.
Yeah,
So what was the latest, did you say?
60,800.
68. All right.
And again, our property valued at 76,000.
So the 47 was the ask,
Yeah,
Now been
and
raised.
that's the 68 was the,
because now is the ask, I don't know, they don't
Okay.
have, according to Zillow. And again, this is my only resource to do this investigation. On 880 Spring Bridge Road, this camp is listed, it has not sold, it hasn't closed, but it's listed at 79,900. It's got power, you can see the bedrooms, it's got a septic, it's on a maintained road. So, I know the burden of proof lies with us. And all I can say is when I close, if anybody's looking for a 24 by 24 camp on 1 acre of land, no power, no water, no amenities whatsoever, it does have a window in the outhouse, I gotta give you that. But if anybody wants to come pay us $76,000 for this property, I think me and my brothers would be willing to entertain that offer. And I close with that.
we had a camp just like that, exactly, almost the exact same thing. What about your refrigerator? You got a propane refrigerator?
Yeah,
So you got a propane tank outside, so everything propane, everything has portage in.
yeah.
The only thing we had to portage in over water.
Oh, yeah.
We had no access to water, we had to portage.
We get the water at Crockett Turn, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's the intersection between the County Road and the Spring Bridge Road.
I mean, yours looks a lot better than ours.
So we take pride in it, and we do maintain it, and paint it, but I don't think painting is the difference in price that.
We did ours with, we had planned to put moss on the roof, and we had a whole bunch of stuff that you guys wanted to have.
So based upon what I'm reading here, Mr. Keane, your request is for an abatement of $24,780 for a valuation of $50,000.
Correct.
Any further questions for Mr. Keane, or shall we move on to the folks from Revenue Service?
No questions.
Stay tuned. Thank you for your presentation. Gentlemen, if you'd be kind enough to once again introduce yourselves for a vast viewing audience.
Absolutely. Colby Higgins, Maine Revenue Service.
Justin McMahon, Maine Revenue Service.
Thank you, gentlemen. Would you like to present any information to us?
Yes,
today?
please. First off, we handled this this revaluation that got implemented last year based off of sales from April 22 to April 24. And the way we approach valuing the land and buildings, first we would take any comparable sales that we found within the area, we would take the building values, inflate those old building values to current cost of construction, then depreciate based off of the grading condition that they are, and it would give us a residual land value. We've determined that the 1 acre base value in Greenfield was valued at $15,000. We changed our lot improvement values to accommodate for $7,500 for a well and $15,000 for a septic, which when you total all those up, obviously is $22,500, which ends up being more than your first acre worth of land in Greenfield. I will start off with page 1 in the state document. This is the first comparable, which Mr. Keene had also had in his comparables. I will, as you can see, I highlighted it did sell in '23 for $55,000, again in 2025 for $57,000, and we currently have it assessed at $52,280. I know Mr. Keene says that
That's the stepped up value.
that is the current valuation, yes. As of when I printed this on March 2nd, in the top right corner. The quality of construction that we have, Mr. Keene, when we grade things, when we grade buildings, we grade them as like A through E, A being the highest, and they're actually, steps up beyond that for some of these elaborate mansions, which there are actually some in the unorganized territory. C being the middle of the road, and as we go down, we have Mr. Keene's camp graded as a D-5. This comparable here, we have graded as a D-30, so we consider it to be slightly less quality of construction than the Keene's cabin.
What does that number refer to, a dollar valuation or a?
It's a coefficient that's applied to basically the starting cost. So think of C as like, it doesn't adjust that cost per square foot. If you go above a C, it's going to bring that cost per square foot, and as we go down, it brings the cost per square foot down for our replacement
So
cost.
it's a factor that you use calculating on the
Cost
square footage.
Yes, cost per square foot. I did visit Mr. Keene's cabin after he filed for his abatement request. I measured his cabin as 24 by 28. I know he's mentioned it a couple times as being 24 by 24. So we have his square footage as 672 square feet, the living area, and then obviously the 12-foot deck off the front. This first comparable is 30% smaller in size, and we have it as a lower grade, and we also have it depreciated a little more. As you can see by the sagging roof in the photos, we have it further depreciated below his, which would.
You're referring to page 2, right?
Page 2, yes.
Okay.
Yes, the photo on page 2.
I can see that.
So, with the 30% decreased size and the lower grade as well as the lower condition, it works out for that $20,000 less in value. They do have an extra 5.8 acres of land there, but after that first acre, we value each acre of land at $745. So that only totals up to $4,320 worth of land valuation, which in turn is is less than a drilled well.
And do those acreage back acreage vary from region to region, or is that a fairly standard?
It's per county. Yes, it's per county.
Okay. So, and this is in proximity, obviously.
Yes. All my comparables and everything I show you is going forward will be for Greenfield Township specifically.
Thank you.
On page 3, the second comparable we have on there, sold in 2023 this would be the Lafayette property, sold for $70,000. We currently have it valued at $79,000. I would say that difference in valuation right there depicts the slight increase in market value, be it ever so small, from 2023 to current valuations. this, as you can see, carried forth on page 4. This is the building. We have that as a lower quality of construction. It's, let's make sure I get my notes here. This one is sold. This is only partially finished, and it also does have a lot improvements. It has a drilled well and septic. It has, so out of that $79,000 of value, 40,000 of it we have on the land itself. We have 38,000 on the building because if you could see an interior photo of this from Zillow, this is a very sparsely finished house. It is probably less than a camp.
OSD finish on the interior.
Right. It's.
Is that interior photo in there somewhere?
It's not. No. I sadly see it on Zillow. I did not print that. So that's another comparable, just to show that we are somewhat close in our valuations. The third one, page 5, the Olets, however you pronounce it, both ways. That is sold twice in the last couple of years. Looks like both within our time frame that we looked at. It sold for $55,000 in '23, $70,000 in 2024, and we have $31,000 on it. As you can see by page 6, this is it has a loft in it, but it is completely unfinished. This is bare bones stud interior. Nothing, absolutely nothing. It's nothing more than a shed. And we have it reflected in our valuation, but whoever purchased it maybe had other plans. I don't, they definitely paid considerably more than we have it valued for, as I saw the real estate listing of this one, and there is nothing inside of it.
So you have MLS access?
We do not have MLS access. I wish we did.
MLS.
I wish we could. It would really benefit us if we did. Yeah, we are, at the mercy, for most of us that aren't.
So anything that you're getting is an offline vendor, like?
Right, we look at Zillow, see if it actually sold on MLS.
Whoever we can get for data mining that appears as though they get their info probably from the MLS.
Yep. Page 7 is a comparable that Mr. Keene had supplied. It is listed for from that Zillow, it sold for $48,000, but as you can see on the next page, they listed it as a ideal fixer-upper. It's canvas waiting for your personal touch. It requires TLC, a new roof. It needs work, and they're listing that, saying that, there is some deferred maintenance that needs to be done. Things like this won't qualify for, if this, I did not have print the record card for this one, but if it has like a well and a septic, it would qualify, like if somebody tries to buy it as a house, it'd be cash buyers or, it would narrow the scope of who can purchase this. From page 9 through the end, these are just comparables to show our building values, or our building grades. These are all buildings graded D-5, which is the same as the Keene residence, Keene camp, in Greenfield Township. So, as you can turn through these pages, I won't touch on all of them. These are just all to show how we have consistency with our grades. They, most of these buildings that are graded D-5s are camps on posts, and they're all depreciated at various levels depending on their condition. Like I said, it was just more to show you that we do have consistency within Greenfield Township as far as how our eyes appear, buildings are constructed. What else I can say?
So I do see some, if I'm reading this correct, okay, there's a grade on that one.
Yes, I should have highlighted that if you.
It's generally on the second page.
Yes, with the photo.
Which page you on now?
Each of these, the second page, which generally has the photo or a building layout,
And then
it shows you the grade. So there are some that are D, some that are C. some that are E, I'm seeing here, and E is the lowest.
E is as low as it goes, yes. As far as Mr. Keen's comparables, I'd like to visit, touch on some of his comparables. We've already discussed his comparable number one, which it states up in the top right-hand corner. I'll give you, if you want to follow along, after you go through those. We've touched on comparable one. That was the one that I had mentioned earlier that needs maintenance and a new roof.
The Greenfield,
Yes, 255
at
Crossroad.
48. Yeah.
Yes, for 48,000. I've already touched on that one. So I will go to his comparable number two.
The Green Bush at 45.
The Green Bush. Green Bush is not Greenfield. It is, it's not part of the unorganized territory. So this would be something we wouldn't have looked at, right? And as is comparable number three, is also in Green Bush.
This is Myra Road.
Yes.
Okay.
Comparable number four, that one is in Greenfield Township, and I discussed already what we consider the $20,000 in difference to be a smaller camp, a lower grade, and slightly lower condition due to, as I can just see from the outside, the sagging of the roof. It looks like it needs a little bit of maintenance to it. Comparable number five is in Greenfield, and it's the mobile home that he spoke of earlier. I don't find that comparable to a hunting camp at all, even though it is a mobile home. It's nothing that I would consider as a comparable to a hunting camp. This is going to be targeted more for families and year-round living. And by the looks of the backside of it and everything else, I'm sure there's a whole lot of deferred maintenance that needs to be there. Maybe, consider it just doesn't appear to be in that great a condition. Comparable number six, another Green Bush sale. So basically, that's all I have. And Justin, if you would like to add anything.
Those are, three of those are non-UTs.
Right.
I would just, reiterate that we feel as though, a lot of the comparables are just sort of not as comparable given possibly condition. And if it is considered comparable, we do need to take into account the condition between the two structures. Keep in mind, if you were to look through the grading, to get an understanding as to sort of what you may see a certain camp have for a grade. You can utilize the pictures, but we do take into account the interior and the exterior of the structure. Interiors can be hard, a lot of seasonal people. Sometimes there's some guessing. Sometimes you can see something when you're knocking on the door, but again, it's all, it's all done to the best of our ability. Sometimes what you see
You don't
on
get to inside, generally.
Unless somebody happens to be there and allows us in.
It's allowed, but it's by permission only.
Absolutely. We'll ask, and it's entirely up to the taxpayer and their comfort.
So that's why, we base our assessments off exterior dimensions and things like that so that we can, and I also ask, just keep in mind it's mass appraisal also, meaning we use these sales to build our cost schedules and to build our land schedules, and then we apply it to each property equally in hopes that, really, that way we're sort of aiming towards a target market price for similarly situated properties. So even though they may not sell, we want to be using a consistent process so that the tax burden is split up as fairly as possible.
I've got two questions I'd like clarity on if you could provide. Number one is the total space discrepancy. 24 by 24 or 25 by, what was it?
I measured it as 24 by 28.
Which is it?
I thought it was 24 by 24, I think so.
So you thought it was 24 by 24?
Yeah.
Okay.
We built it.
And the other one that I had, the other question I had to do with your notice of supplement abatement. And I noticed that the building value went down, but the land value went up. And this is during an abatement consideration process. Could you clarify how you came to those two? Because I saw a net credit balance of $5.73. So I looked at it and see, well, how do you arrive at that? And I saw the difference in the land value from when you previously assessed it to now where you're giving a new assessment of the abatement, and yet you depreciated the building itself from 66 to 56.2. Could you clarify for that?
Yes, absolutely. On my inspection, we had it listed having no utilities, even though gray water does not attribute too much to it. It does say, we added the gray water system that was in there that was not previously assessed upon my visit.
So that's the increase was the gray value?
For the land value, because that gets, the utilities get rolled into the land value overall. And as far as the
Building value?
the building value,
Document the age and
yeah, well, we didn't have a year built. I did lower the percentage. I'm pretty sure it was at 80% to the good on condition, and I depreciated it based on my visit to 75%.
Okay. So it's an actual on visit?
Yes. It's very hard to see on the photo of his record. I don't know if I included a photo of his record card, but it was.
There's no record card.
Okay. All right. It's I was there on September 17th of last year.
All right.
What do you show for the square footage on the record card?
On the record card for his camp living area of the camp, 672 square feet, and then a 288 square foot deck off the front.
280, I didn't hear the last you dropped.
288 square foot deck on the front.
Oh, deck.
Yeah, just the deck on the front. Those
How
are
do
the
you
two.
value decks?
Decks are based on square footage and then similarly on grade after that, because there's different levels of, different levels of deck that you
Oh,
can do
I've been
with.
there.
And way we do it, we can't segregate that off. Some CAMA systems can segregate off decks, and you can call a deck a higher grade than the house actually is. I've seen them in my times out in the field. This one, we figured that all in together on the whole overall grade.
So it was an aggregate?
Yes,
So it's a D-5 deck.
right, as well.
It just carries the
What's
same.
it D minus?
It just means it's below.
Below average, even though it is a pressure treated deck and it's well capped, it gets graded as the house does.
Okay. Thank you. That explains that. I have no more questions.
Sherman, you have anything?
No, I had the question about the increase in land value, but that was answered.
Okay. So we're looking at a 1 acre parcel, so there is no impact from the back acreage valuation. Correct. Okay. And you've given us the septic factor that you use in the well factor, and those are deducted or not added to the land value for someone that does not have either of those on their.
Correct, they're not
Show
added.
them an example.
I just.
Yeah, absolutely, I do have examples of that. Let me just flip through here. As you can see on page 3, under state documents, that has a drilled well and septic, which brings under landline valuation section at the bottom of the page. If you look at the top line of that is 1 acre at $15,000, and if you carry it all the way to the right, it totals up to $37,500 to include the well and septic values.
Thank you. I guess the only other question that I saw in here is, how do you discount non-town or non-state road access when it's a private road? Is there a consideration for that?
Not in this.
Okay.
The UT is primarily private roads, so it's like the majority of what we're dealing with is all in that same situation.
All right. Mr. Keen, do you have anything else you would like to add at this point?
Yeah, if people are going out and they're gonna try to buy a hunting camp in the area that we're located in, they're not gonna consider, well, Greenfield Township camps are higher value than the Greenbush Township camps. It's comparable sales within the area. Every comparable I included in my document was within a 5-mile radius of my camp. Secondly, the only real sale that the state has, and this is a sale, admittedly septic, water, sewer, power on a maintained road, sold for $70,000.
Well, we talked about sales, but there are recent sales, if I understood correctly, the dates that were in your universe were between 2022 and 2024. Is that correct, gentlemen?
I'm sorry, I was.
So the valuation range or the date range you used for looking at some of these were camps that sold within 2022 and 2024?
Correct, from April 22 to April 24. And it was within the unorganized territory. We don't look at sales outside of that, as the unorganized territory is almost 10 million acres in the state. That would mean we'd have to look at most of the real estate sales in the entire state, which would be rather daunting.
Yeah, and in terms of the sale that was included here, the $70,000 Mr. Keene referenced, do you remember the date on that?
2023.
Okay, we have two sales in 20
May 14th.
with them. Okay, so this one, we have two $70,000 sales. One was March 21st of 23. And the other one was,
May 14th, 24.
yes,
Okay.
and that one sold twice.
And I want to go back to the $70,000 sale that has the septic, water, on the town maintained road, everything associated with that particular property.
The Lafayette, I just want to make sure.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
was that?
It's a Lafayette property.
That was also valued by the state at $79,140. They valued our property at $756. This, again, has a water, septic. I don't understand how, and a person didn't pay the 79, they paid 70. So my premise here coming today is that the state has overvalued our property, and I'm sure they overvalued ours, they overvalued many of the others, but we're the ones in here today to talk about it.
And
So-
we really, there's obviously some variations that are going to come into consideration, but for today, we're looking at a grade of D for your camp versus this camp as well. If I
One's a
understand.
D5 and one's a D20.
What is it?
Yeah, one is a
One's a
D5
D30.
and one is a D30. Do I understand
This
that
is
correctly?
Yeah,
the Lafayette's a D20.
D minus 20, because it is lacking much of its interior finish. It's hard to tell from, there's a very limited number of windows in it.
How
and
do we
it's
know that?
Photos on Zillow.
Photos on Zillow.
Why aren't they included in this?
I'd also like to point out that sale is in 2023. The peak of the market was not 2021. Possibly the peak of active COVID cases was in 2021, but the market continued to react post us having to listen to a press conference every day at noon. It carried on. And so I argue that saying something sold in 2021 for $50,000, well, I can tell you right now, properties don't sell for the same price as they sold in 2021. You can't buy materials for the same you did in 2021. You can't buy the land. You can't do any of that. It's not as though we're trying to take extra money for people. We're tasked by law to go according to market value. We did 2022 through 2024. We want to talk about utilities. We've got a sale from May of 2024 of a camp with no power available, no sewer installed, no sewer available. It sold for $70,000. I feel like there's a method behind what we do, and I feel like it accurately depicts what market value is. I don't think that we don't have the resources, and our laws don't allow for us to say, as a tax assessor, that you need to go out and you need to find 3 comparables within a half a mile, and they have to have sold within a certain time period, and they have to be identical. Unfortunately, we go by different laws, and I think a lot of that goes back to mass appraisal, because our valuations have to be spread across properties that may never sell, not because they're not valuable, but just because they stay in the family. But we can't say that they're worth nothing because they've never sold. We just have to take other properties to create a fair way to divvy up this tax. So I understand the sticker shock on the valuations going up because, again, our last revaluation was in 2020. We're using historical information, so we had to use sales from 2018 and 2019 to implement for 2020. No different than we implemented in 2025. We didn't get to use a lot of 2025 sales because we were taking the information that was available to us and digesting it to make and implement the 2025 revaluation. And then our valuations stay stagnant, but the market's always moving, up or down. So I want you guys to keep that in mind, that it's mass appraisal. It's not a perfect system. It's not going out and finding 3 perfect comparables, because taxes would be even higher because we'd be spending that much more time, unfortunately, in doing it. So we do our best with the information that's given to us.
Mr. Keene?
It's my understanding that market value is the price that someone is willing to pay for the property. My only question was the certified ratio. Is the state certified ratio higher than 100% valuation?
Gentlemen,
So the purpose of the revaluation was to get us to 100%. So I believe we were in and around this. Again, we split up between water and residential in most counties that have a significant amount of waterfront sales and non-waterfront. And we were at 56% on the water, and I believe 67% on the residential. So we fell somewhere in between on an average, as I 64%. So that was the reason why we did the revaluation, is to reach 100. The state valuation that's performed each year will be performed on our new valuations this year. So if I had to guess, we're probably somewhere around between 90 and 95% of market value, just from what I've seen for sales. But again, we're using mass appraisals, so we're kind of painting with a broad paintbrush. So if you were to ever look at one of our sales ratio studies, it's not like when we create this that all of a sudden we hit every sale at 100%. It's just this perfect model. It's there's going to be some deviation from that average, and that's just the way it is with the emotions that are involved in buying and selling property. It's just certain things that we maybe can't take into account in our assessment practices.
So again, so the state's saying 100%. So it's my understanding that state statute says that they have a 10% leeway over market value. Am I incorrect in that?
well, I don't have the law in front of me, but what I'm understanding is that they have hit a target that they estimate to be between 90 and 95% of market value. Is that?
I heard 100%.
If we were to run the true sales ratio study again, I feel as though it would fall below 100%. By statute, we can take that ratio and adjust it 10% when creating a certified ratio. And that's because, again, it falls onto, it's not a perfect science, and so we have to have some leeways with the town. So if if you're coming in at, we'll just say 91%, that's sort of that magic number of you can adjust it up 10% to get to 100. And it's reasonable to say that a town that assesses their properties at 91% on average should be considered to be at 100% of market value. I mean, it's tough because it's always moving. And so that's sort of the reasoning behind the law. So when I say we're at 90 to 95%, that will allow us to certify 100%.
Any other questions at this point?
Should you have a copy of that asset card for this property?
If you would be able to leave us a copy of that or send it to us, that would be appreciated. Okay.
I can send it to Mary Ann if you'd like a color photo and stuff like that.
Why don't you send it to Mary Ann so we can have it electronically to each review, since we won't be back for a while. And we'll want that for our workshop, because I think we'll probably take these up as we do the other two. All right? What we generally do in this case is take these under advisement, review the materials, and we can make our decision based upon presentations and in the materials that have been submitted in the packet. So We appreciate you all taking your time to be here with us today. I know this is a challenging time for both parties. The market is moving. I, in full disclosure, am a real estate agent and have done, not appraisals, but have done analysis for clients, and it is a moving target. So thank you. We will take this under consideration and render a decision and notify both parties of that.
Thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you.
All right, and I suspect you gentlemen can stay right here. At this point, are the DeRoches present?
Yes, we are.
Great, thank you. If you folks would like to come forward to the table here, we'll open the hearing on your request as well. So we've heard a book which Mary Ann has just given you a copy of, that includes the information that you did submit for the big hearing. That is the material that we'll base things off of and add any commentary that we received today. So if you would be kind enough to introduce yourselves when you get a moment.
Yes, my name is Edward DeRoche. This is my wife Brenda DeRoche.
You do.
And could we request my wife to speak first?
Certainly.
Just 2 minutes.
Not a problem. So we have opened the hearing on, I said about 10:45.
Thank you. I got one left.
There you go.
Good morning, my name is Brenda DeRoche, and this is my husband Joe. If I could take just 2 minutes to give a very brief synopsis of what we hope to cover today concerning our property located in Indian Purchase 3 in Millinocket. Joe will proceed with evidence in just a minute. In 2018, we attended a meeting with the board of the Penobscot County Commissioners. The purpose of that meeting was to determine whether our property had water influence. As a result of that meeting, the board found that we did not have water influence, and therefore we could not be taxed for it. We fail to see where this has been continued to the present. We feel we are being charged for water influence. In 2025, Joe attended a meeting in East Millinocket, along with many other camp and homeowners, and was told that $10,300 would be taken off our valuation. It appears that was taken off the camp valuation, but that exact amount was immediately added to the real estate value. Therefore, no reduction was seen by us. We have been provided several exhibits of other properties in our area. Many of these properties are nearly a mile away on South Twin Lake, a totally different lake. We feel there are enough valuations in our area that we should be using only those for this hearing. We have facts to prove that several reductions should be considered by this board in the evaluation of our property. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Just to clarify, the 2025 meeting in East Millinocket, was that with Maine Revenue Service, or do you remember?
I wasn't there.
Okay.
That was with,
It wasn't meant to make that.
Okay.
yes, there was many people there, probably 8 adjusters or the auditors were there. They had laptops. They did not give you any paperwork, but any grievances you had, they would make deductions. I wasn't the only one that had deductions taken from the valuation. But for some reason, they took it off, my wife said they took it off the valuation of the camp and they added it to the land. And so we never saw a reduction. But I asked Justin and they offered no help. I'm sure it's in the computer system. The only thing you could tell me was the lady that waited on us.
Okay.
So that's one deduction.
All right. Did you have other information you'd like to present?
Yes, I have our, I just.
Yes, we have in our packet, Gerald.
Did you get that? Okay.
We've been provided the copy of the letter from the from Maine Revenue Service.
Yeah.
There's a page here that at the top says properties with no water influence and properties with water influence. The application for abatement, the attached bullet points dated 9/2/2025, And then there is your property card that is included in the packet, a diagram that I believe you included that highlights some of the areas.
Yes, that's basically what I just gave you. I wasn't quite sure that the state.
That's okay. Nope. We do have that information, so if that helps you in your presentation to know that we do have some of this here that we can reference, you certainly can proceed with anything else you'd like to share with us.
Thank you. I guess my first thing is the first letter I received from Justin dated October 9th, 2025. And it says, second paragraph, and I'd like to know if this is a true statement or false. Please know that your land value currently reflects a 50% reduction as directed by the Penobscot County Commission. Can Justin answer that? Is that a true statement?
So
Yes.
okay.
That is.
And I'm sorry, I don't seem to see that letter here. Is it in the packet?
Right on the state.
Okay,
Right, no, that first one, right there.
right here, okay.
Right there. So I am getting a 50% reduction off my land value.
You are getting a 50% reduction as directed by the Penobscot County Commissioners, which is actually not what we were directed.
Right, I'd like to see evidence of that.
Absolutely. So I believe that you included it for us.
No, I included the 20% that they
The
directed you to
20%.
take off
Correct.
my
So-
land value.
Is it 20% or is it 50%?
It's 20%
Thank you. Okay. 20% off. We're actually
off
taking,
land value.
correct. So I don't know if we want to have this back and forth or,
No, please, what I'd like to do is clarify the numbers here.
Okay.
So you'll be able to make your presentation. If we have a clarifying question, I'd ask you to direct it through the chair, and then we will convey that to parties that are present here. So what we're seeing here is, and I'm assuming the meeting you're referencing is the 2018 meeting?
Yes, we came to the board here, and they, I don't want to jump ahead, but on my second page, they 100% said the state had error in valuation of my property, and therefore I have no water influence. And the third last paragraph down that Justin just mentioned was, they took 20% off the land value. My land value was $25,780. They removed 20% off, and it brought it down to $5,000. They removed $5,156. And I'd just like to know if that statement that he told me is true.
Well, I think, again, we've clarified that the decision was to deduct 20% of the land value. As I understand it here,
Yes.
that was based upon a finding that there was no water influence. And this was in 2018.
Correct.
So the 50% that is referenced in the letter here is an inaccurate percentage. It should be 20%. Both parties agree
correct.
to that.
The reason why it's typed in 50% is because, and I can save it for, as part of my presentation, but again, for water influence, we double the base lot. So essentially it gets a 2.0 factor. So in order to take 20% off, we couldn't take, if you take 20% of 200%, it's 40 points. So rather than knock it down to 1.6, we knocked it down to 1.5. So we actually granted more of a reduction than what the county commissioners had asked for. It's actually a 25% reduction, because again, rather than factor it up 2, it's factored up 1.5, thus the 20% reduction. In difference in valuation between a camp that's right next door to them, along with an entire strip of camps along the shore of North and South Twin Lake that all have just simply the railroad tracks that separate them from the water. So
Let's stay with the understanding of the percentage, and then when you get into your presentation,
it's a 25% reduction.
Okay, thank you. So does the commission understand the difference between the percentages to date that we've heard here?
I just have a question.
It's actually 25.
I understand,
On
I'm
the
just,
tax card, Mr. Commissioner, it says location adjustment, so if you adjust it by the 25% from 60, the adjustment would be 37.5, which is on there, but then it shows land value at $60,010, so it shows the location adjustment, but it doesn't look like it was actually applied.
Well and septic added into that.
What was that again?
Right. And I will go through all of that
Okay.
now,
Yeah,
but
let's get, one moment, Mr. George. So we understand the difference in the numbers that are in the different documents that we've reviewed so far. We'll get an explanation of that, but I just want to make sure that we all agree that there are some differences, but they relate to final valuation. So Mr. George, please proceed.
What he just said was, he's taken 50% off water influence. Is that correct?
We're not in a
I
position.
don't have water influence. Why would he be giving me a percentage off of water influence? The court has decided I do not have water influence. That should be ended. If we're here to discuss that, we can go along with it, but it's already been decided by you people in 2018. So why is he taking 50% off? Instead of giving me a factor of 2, he says, I'm just gonna give you a factor of 1.5.
Well, we'll get into his explanation,
Okay,
so
yeah,
if you would
that's-
be kind enough to continue with your testimony that you want to share with us. And then we will give you an opportunity to ask a question following their presentation, but I think for continuity, we've got to move forward with what you would like to present to us.
Okay, so I got that first page, and what he's saying is not correct. Not correct. My second page is where we came to court in 2018 because he said we had water influence, and the committee decided that the state was 100% wrong and no water influence on our property. Okay, so that's my 2 first pages.
Thank you.
Now we can go on to evaluations.
Okay?
Okay, first of all, I would like to say,
Are you looking at either your property card, or are you looking at the next page which has the comparables, which are non-water influence and water influence?
I have both, but I'll start with mine.
Okay.
Let's get on the same page so we know what we're talking about. Good.
Just, I'm trying to make sure that everyone can follow along.
That's probably a different. So where are we now here? Where
I
are we?
believe we're on, this page is in the document that Mr. George.
Yeah, this is, okay, this is,
Okay.
yeah, okay, that's in there, map ID, okay.
Take your time, but
Yeah,
I just want to make sure as we're moving through this that we're clarifying where we're at.
Okay,
So you've just taken another document, so we're not talking about your property record right now, or are we?
I was going to
Okay.
tell you about my property. So with my property, I do not own water frontage. I do not have water influence, like the committee said in 2018, which goes against what Justin says. I am on a road that runs parallel with the railroad tracks. It used to be a railroad siding, and they took the tracks away and put a little, level it out. With this, the railroad will not give you right-of-ways. Whenever you cross the tracks or get on railroad property, there's a fee involved. So I had to sign a contract. It was a $500 to get the contract going, and every year I pay $250 to use the railroad property to access my camp. It's me and my neighbor. I feel that is an influence on my property. Also, in my property, I can show you, I have a power line that runs right through the middle of it. And with that, I have a 20-foot restriction where I cannot build.
We have a schematic of that?
Yeah, I do, yeah. So I got proof of everything here.
That's not in the packet you've given me yet at this point, correct?
Correct, but I can show you.
Okay.
This is it from Bangor Hydro,
Okay.
and it says within 10 feet of each side of the power line, I cannot obstruct a pool, a trailer, a building, or anything on my property.
Okay.
This is my camp. This is my neighbor's camp.
Okay.
This is the power line, goes just like that. So I had to be back 20 feet from that power line. All of this area, I can't do nothing with it because Bangor Hydro, Versant Power has a right of way. So I feel that affects my land value.
Okay,
All right? Yeah?
thank you.
Yeah.
I'll give it back to you.
No, no problem. Second of all, they evaluate your well and septic. I believe it's valued for $22,500
Combined.
combined. I have a variance when my septic and well was put in. They drilled the well too close to my well, to my septic. It's within 70 feet. This is all proof right here.
Okay. That's the septic plan, yes.
Yeah, and there's a variance I had to pay the state, it was $100.
Okay.
And so I feel the valuation on my well and septic isn't $22,500. We do not drink the water, we don't cook with the water, we just use it for the bathroom essentials. So I think the full valuation of a well and septic on my property isn't there because of that variance being 70 feet from the septic system. When it come time to sell, a lot of people wouldn't want to touch that. We had to go with it because it was very rocky and it was placed within the limits.
Okay. I want to make sure I don't lose that, so I'll.
Where is your septic on here, over here?
My septic, okay, so this is my neighbor's camp, this is my camp, my septic's right there.
So it's over here, okay.
Yeah, yeah, and this is the power line. This is
Yeah, I
just-
see the power line, yeah.
But you do have a septic and
Yep.
you do have a well.
And I do, yeah, yes, I do.
But you just don't utilize it like other.
We don't drink the water, we don't,
They use it
It's
for
my-
cooking, yeah, it's too close to the well.
Yeah, okay.
And this right here is the proof from the state that is 70 feet from my septic system. And it's a variance. It's like they didn't say you can't use it, but to go with valuation, I feel it's not the same.
Okay, this. Okay.
Okay. So, I guess now, so with that components of my land, we have a lot of variables. It's a back lot, so to speak. It's not on a state road. It's not on an association road. It's off the railroad tracks. We literally drive 20 feet beside the railroad tracks to get to our camp.
Is that the Norcross Road that you?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay, so you go across there, you go across the
Yeah.
railroad, you
Okay,
go
yeah.
left to right,
You go left, just before you go over the railroad tracks, you take a left.
to where they store all of the trailers.
No, don't go over the tracks.
No, but I meant the haul of the.
Yes, yeah, the Norcross goes over and there's a
Yeah,
place where they
and you
store
go
the
down.
trailers, yeah. And there's fees, every time you cross the railroad tracks, the association has to pay a yearly fee. The railroads are very strict. They don't give right-of-ways on the property. Even, I retired from the utility, even the wires that cross above railroad tracks, they have to pay a yearly fee. Years ago, people wanted railroads to come through their towns or land because they could prosper. Now, people don't want railroads because they're loud, they carry hazardous chemicals, gasoline, petroleum. They're dangerous. We have our kids, our grandkids up there. We hear that train coming in the daytime, it comes at night too. We make sure they're way off the tracks because there's a hazard there.
So to be clear, there is still an active railroad.
Oh, yeah.
And there is an abutting trail, or you drive on the tracks to get to your.
Over the tracks.
No, I do not go over the tracks. I go right parallel with the tracks.
So at that point, in Norcross, you have to cross over. the
Yes,
tracks.
yes, you cross over the tracks.
And then you're parallel to.
Yeah, I don't go across.
He's not across the
I'm not across the tracks.
On this side of the track.
He's not
Yeah.
across the tracks. to get
I
to
don't
the front,
cross
You
the
get right to the tracks and turn left.
Okay, I know where it is. Oh, I know where it is. Is it, yeah, that is down that way, doesn't it?
Goes to two camps.
Isn't there a parking area down there? Or turnaround area?
So, my camp is right there. This is the Norcross Road.
Oh, yeah,
This is where you go to the tracks. This is where the parking lot is, where the boats are.
yeah. Well, this is what I said, so that's on the other side of it, you're on this side.
Yeah, I'm on this side. So I take this road,
Yeah.
right 2 feet from the railroad tracks, which the railroad
I'm
owns.
familiar with this, yeah.
Yeah,
I know this one.
mine's the first one, and my neighbor's the second one, and on this, you can also see where the power line goes right through my
This is
property.
Stevie Windsor's old kid.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay.
And so this
That's what I'm
reflects shoreline up to the railroad tracks, is that?
Yes, right,
Right.
again, in front of me, this is, I can show you pictures,
Mhm.
I have a swamp in front of me.
Okay,
My neighbor has the lake.
okay.
Uh,
So you
he-
do not own acreage?
Nope.
Okay.
He gets charged water influence because he has a lake right in front of him.
Mhm.
This is what we came in 2018 to send it. And across from me, this map isn't correct, I got pictures. We have a swamp.
Okay,
This is what's
Yeah,
across
I
from me.
know, I know it's,
okay,
Yeah. You familiar with that, Ken?
yeah, well, I'm familiar with the area.
okay.
South Twin by the Norcross Road.
Gentlemen,
Yeah,
you seem,
North one, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I oriented now, I know what you're doing, I know where your camp is. Okay.
Yeah, you know Steve Mansell, yeah, that was his camp.
gentlemen, you're comfortable with the area, knowledge of the area?
I've been to the property.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and I have other maps to show the other evaluation of property, yeah. Okay, so, the first one I put down with no water influence, like us,
Mhm.
is Mr. Wyman.
Okay.
He has 1.42 acres. It borders on a state road where he has year-round access, and this place is a year-round home.
Is it state or town? State.
Town. It's a Todd Road, Norcross Road. Yeah, town.
Okay, so it's maintained by a community, because you're.
No,
Private road pull-off.
Okay.
yeah.
Please
His-
proceed.
Valuation, he's got an acre and a half, or acre .42, it's 36,200.
Now, just to clarify, you indicate this is land value. Is
Yes.
there a structure on that land?
Yes,
Okay, because there's no valuation, according to what you're showing, this is land valuation. Did you intend it to be land and structure?
no, just land, because I'm not disputing the valuation of my camp, my
Okay.
structure, I'm disputing the valuation of the land.
Okay,
He has a very nice house, I believe the state valued it for 300,000. I believe it's around 300,000.
so really, what we're here today to talk about is the valuation process for the land, not any.
Right.
Okay,
With no water influence,
Correct, because I don't, because of the board.
I understand.
all right, so that will simplify this.
Okay. Yeah, it can be very
You're
simple.
welcome to stand or sit, whichever you
No,
prefer.
this can be very simple with that first statement I said. But we'll go through all this, and I'll go through all of his valuations. Okay, so my value of land is 60,000, his is 36. That's 1.42 acres. It borders on a state or county road.
State way.
There's public access road as well.
Yes, yeah.
Will be.
And I also, if I go back to my property.
Yeah.
The association owns the first 150 feet of the road that goes to the railroad tracks. And with that, there's a fee that I have to pay the association to use that road. So I gotta pay twice to get into my camp. Okay, so my next one is Mr. Daigle. He has 2.47, these are right in my area. I wanna make sure you know I'm not going out of my area at all.
Let me,
Let me just present this.
Sure.
I'm right here. These properties I'm talking about is right here. They're about 800 feet, 1,000 feet from me. I'm right here, Darash. These are right here, right when you come off that road. So, Mr. David, he has 2.47 acres of land. It's in a, in 1980, they put a little development up there, and they made 4 house lots. And they have restrictions. They can't have trailers, they can't have livestock. Oh, the house had to be siding in so many days. And it's all very nice houses. And I don't have the valuation of his house, but I would say that's like $200,000 or $300,000 too. Anyways, 2.47 acres, more than double what I have, and his land value is 41,720 compared to my 60. Then we have Mr. McEwen. He has 1.9 acres, and the value is 36,790. Almost double what I have. And when Justin goes and talks about his evidence, he put some stuff in about these lots where he's not quite sure on. But we can talk to that when he goes on his stuff. Okay, well then I went and grabbed land that has water influence. They have that multiplication factor of 2 that he spoke of earlier today. Never here. They have 2.27 acres. And they don't have a camp on it, he has a trailer, a camping trailer. Deep water frontage, his land borders Route 11, which is a state road. There again, year-round accessible, more valuable than a back lot that I have. If that gentleman wanted to, let's say, add another camp, if you have the right amount of acreage and frontage on a state road, you can do that. Can I do that? Or somebody that owns a piece of property like I have? No, because I do not have any road frontage. Okay, that's what I think. Okay, so anyways, 2.27 acres, his valuation is only $19,070. And when I talked to Justin in the fall, he's like, oh, I made a mistake with that. Kaminsky. He has 0.95 acres, just about what I have. I got 1 acre. He also has water influence, so he has that multiplication factor. His land is valued at $36,170. Clements, 1.39 acres, half acre more than me, 59,000, just about value what mine is, 59,330. But he has water influence. He has deep water influence out in front of this camp. Beautiful views. Then the last one is Curion. This camp is right beside mine. He has 0.79 acres. When I got this information, the state valued it at $58,430, but Justin said to me that he made a mistake and he went up on his property. He went up on his property. Right here. It was 58,430, and I said, why is my land worth more than my neighbor's land, which has that water influence? And he admitted that the state did something wrong, and so he changed the valuation to $66,800.
This is on the Querion property.
Yes, the one right beside me. But I'm telling you, Mr. Curion does not have a right-of-way to his land. He is landlocked, the same way I was. I was landlocked. I could not.
He has to pay the same access
Yes,
fees
he
as
pays,
well,
yeah, same,
both ways.
both ways, yeah. But him going up, this is not my battle to fight, but I'm telling you, he's landlocked. He does not have a right-of-way. That means his land is worth nothing. If he goes to sell it, a bank won't give you a loan. When I bought my property, I didn't have a right-of-way. I proceeded with a paper company to give me a right-of-way, in which they did. Cost me a little money, but I did get a right-of-way. It goes in the back of goes towards the back of my lot. It's a grassy road, rocks. It's something we don't use. It's a way.
Is it a deeded right of way?
Yes, it is. It's a way, so if I wanted to sell, there's a deeded right of way, and I could sell. We don't use that road. It's not really, you couldn't drive a car down it. It's not it's just a way to get a right of way to my land. Yeah.
to your knowledge, does your abutter, Mr. Kurian, have a similar right of way?
No, he has no right of way. He has no right of way, and I think it's very wrong for the state, but that's not my battle, but, for him to go up on his taxes. And I feel bad because I was complaining about my taxes and he doesn't want to do anything with me, but yet he drives these other people up.
Well, let's clarify here. You're giving us your observations on this, but I'd appreciate it if you didn't lay this all on a personal matter. There's a calculation, as you may have heard here. We're going to allow them to present.
Okay.
After that, if you have some questions you'd like to ask them through the chair, we'll allow you to do that. But during the course of this, as he's respected your time, if you don't have anything further, I want to give you the opportunity to present fully, but I'm just kind of laying out the dynamics here because there obviously is some frustration that many people are feeling about their taxes going up. I can appreciate that, but we want to keep it as close to the facts that are present as possible, so.
I apologize.
No, you know, I'm just trying to clarify. We're not a court, but we do have a requirement to
Yes.
base it on the facts that we received. So
Okay.
if you have other things, please proceed.
I have a nice map system of all those lots I talked about, if you guys are interested in seeing them.
Does the commission feel that that would be relevant to your ability to make decisions, to have a copy of that map?
Copy.
Yeah. If after this, you wanted to have Marianne, if that's your only copy, we don't want to deprive you of that, but if we can maybe get a print that they can
Yeah.
send to us, would you be able to potentially get something that large copy?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll take care of that after the meeting.
Anytime you wanna look at this, because he's gonna talk about evaluations of other lots, we can just see exactly where they are. And like my wife stated in her opening, he went down to a different lake to make a lot of his evaluations, which isn't around my area. There's plenty of evaluations around my area.
Well, if your documentation has included some of this, I don't know if you gentlemen have access to some of these cards that he referenced in his packet?
I have cards for all of
Okay,
what
we'll look
the
at
accounts that he brings up so that we could discuss them.
Good, we'll go through each one. Yeah, excellent.
Great. So, is there anything further that you'd like to share? How about you, Mrs. Gerard? Okay, at this point, gentlemen, again, we're same meeting, but if you, for those listening, would be kind enough to introduce yourselves again.
Absolutely. Justin McMahon, Maine Revenue Services.
Colby Higgins, Maine Revenue Services.
If you would like to proceed with your presentation, gentlemen.
Absolutely. So,
And we're referencing just the land, even though there is some.
yeah, I don't have any really discussion about the building. I know that the water influence is the subject at hand here. And
Okay.
that's my presentation plans to basically focus on land values. So, unique situation with the location of these properties. Again, as we spoke, there's a railroad right-of-way, runs along the shoreline. Camps are on the opposite side. They don't own the waterfront. They all are in proximity to the water. So the question is what exactly is water influence? Let's refer back to the decision from the county commissioners back in 2020. I find it to be a little bit contradictory. Our methodology and reduction from their decision up until now has not changed. The same reduction is applied. The numbers that we're starting with have changed, though. I would say that when it comes to water influence, we need to take a few different things into account. These lots, because we deal with water influence throughout the entire unorganized territory, there's different levels that we deal with. You know, is it water frontage as far as a stream? Is it lake? Is it, you know, what are we dealing with for a situation? So in this particular instance, all of these lots, they fall within shoreline zoning. So to say that they don't have an influence from the water, to me, seems ridiculous. You know, shoreline zoning's anything 250 feet back from the water. Sure, it's additional restrictions, but those restrictions are to preserve the property and keep the beauty and keep the, water quality, whatever it may be, pristine as can be. So, yeah, there's additional rules with shoreline zoning, but that means that your property is influenced by the water. I would also say
there is a different factor for water influence versus actually owning
absolutely,
waterfront.
absolutely. None of my valuations for, and I find it funny that we refer to, I'm using comparables from different bodies of water to derive the value. They're not waterfront properties. I did not use waterfront sales to, and we'll get into that too, because I have them. But let's go through the Darash's list of properties. Now, mind you, I think everybody.
The page you have in the.
I do now. I wanted to let you know also that unlike our last time, I have exhibits on each and every page of what I've provided to you, so that hopefully we can all stay together, as we go through this. So.
And there appear to be about 27.
Oh, there's, that sounds about right, 27 exhibits. You'll notice that some exhibits, there should be 2 pages for each exhibit, especially with the property record cards from the front and the back side of the card. So exhibit 1 is the DeRoche's property. Really not much to go over. There's their property record card. They have a 1 acre base lot, and then they have an additional 1/10 of an acre of excess land.
Can you share with us what your base lot?
Yeah, base lot values in that particular area are 25,000. And if we go to exhibit 2, we actually can go through the computation of the land.
Okay.
That
would be the 3rd page in.
That would be the 3rd page in exhibit 2.
Are you folks following okay? In the booklet, there's a binder that you were.
I printed everything off, yes.
That's okay, but if you, to follow how they are presenting this, so that you, in the 2nd section, I think it's a light blue, it's like the 3rd page.
And it should.
In there, you should be able to see what he's referring to.
Yes, Mr. Cushing, is there any time I can say anything, or do I have to wait?
If you would be kind enough to wait, and I'd certainly appreciate it.
Take notes and
We've given
make your
you
questions.
the time to make your presentation, it's now there. You will have an opportunity to ask questions afterwards, okay?
Thank you. So exhibit 2 really breaks down that first land line on the property record card in exhibit 1, which shows a total value of $60,000. We're going to ignore that $10 for that 1/10 of an acre. I don't really think that that's the basis of conversation right now. So what you can see is we use a 25, and I tried to do the math out on the side here, so you'll notice some extra notes right here. Okay, so just so you understand what that 1.5 condition factor that I have circled and what it means. So we start with a base lot of $25,000. I know that there's an argument of water influence, not water influence, and I think that we should probably talk about that before we move on any further. So the commissioners stated there's no water influence, but then they further stated a 20% reduction in the land. We went through the same process that we're going to go through today, and the commissioners read the understanding that we double the base lots for water influence. So a 20% reduction isn't going to get rid of that doubling, but it's going to reduce that doubling, and that's exactly what we did. They asked for us to reduce 20%, so 20% of that 2.0 is 0.4, would put us at 1.6. We didn't like that. We like to work in like 25% increments, so we just called it 1.5 and said that seems fair to us, let's move on. So that's what we did, and historically that's how we've kept it since 2020. So to get through the math, the $25,000 base lot is multiplied by 1.5. That's $37,500, okay? We then add for the drill well and septic, $22,500 for a total value for that first acre of $60,000. And that makes up the primary value of that lot. There's that 1/10 of an acre that's shown on the property record card at, I believe, $1,117 per acre, so it rounds to $10 of added value. That's the computation of the land there. It's the only lot out of all of the lots that abut the railroad tracks that have that particular adjustment, they all have a 2.0 adjustment. They all are double, including his neighbor. I think we've gone over that. I feel like that in itself is an inequity. I feel like none of them own the waterfront, so to talk about deep water frontage, bog frontage, this frontage, that frontage, you don't own the frontage, so what does it matter? What matters is do you have that view of the lake, and they all have that view of the lake. And we'll get further into some exhibits and we can see. I would actually attribute some of the adjustment from 2020 to actually be, Mr. DeRoche did bring up that maybe his view isn't as, spectacular as some of the others, and I feel like maybe that made, some of that adjustment also. But however, I would say that water influence, proximity to the water. So these lots fall in shoreline zoning. I mean, his lot's 100 feet from the water, his building is further back than that. But there's a view of the water from the land. So, and I feel like that's similar with all the other properties. This isn't just one property being treated differently than the rest, with the exception of they're getting a bigger reduction than everybody.
So is water view a calculation in your valuation, or is it more shore frontage?
It's not, it's by the acre. We don't do any sort of, it's not by front foot because they don't own any front footage. It's done by that same 1 acre base lot. Some of those lots through there, and I want to talk about that also, is a lot of those lots are smaller lots. DeRoches are, I would say, one of the exceptions to have a lot that's closer to an acre, because the majority of them are like 0.46 acres. Prior to the revaluation, and that was one of the adjustments when we talk about the offsetting of the $10,000 off from the building and that exact same value, which it was really close to being the exact same value. And when I spent an hour on the phone going over the process with Mr. DeRoche, I explained that and said, it's kind of coincidental that we made this adjustment to your building, and then when we make this change to your land, that it's practically washes it. And it was coincidental, and we're going to go through that whole computation of what it was. So the calculation of value of acreage is not linear. 1 acre does not sell for twice as much as a half acre. 2 acres doesn't sell for twice as much as 1 acre. I just haven't seen that. I wish it was that easy. But probably if it was, then AI would be taking my job. So thankfully, there's a little bit more to it. The way we calculate the valuation and sort of create that curve, what we look at is if a property's holding a structure, it's a grandfathered structure. So even though it may be a non-conforming lot, it still holds some value because of that existing structure. So when we fall below an acre, we use what's called the square root method. And if we were to go to, actually, let me go to my exhibit list so I can get us right to quick, I believe. It's going to be the exhibit 12. It should be the neighboring lot. So exhibit 12 shows the breakdown of this, and I'd like to speak to sort of the fractional acreage part of this. You'll notice that the condition factor is circled as 2, meaning that's a double the base lot, and we can go through this computation. So this lot is 0.79 acres. So the way we create this curve is we use the square root of that fractional acre. So if someone owns half an acre, if you take the square root of 0.5, it's like 0.71, we'll say. So basically, what that's indicating is that a half an acre is worth about 70% of 1 acre, given that they have that same use, meaning can it house a building, that sort of thing. So the square root of 0.79 is 0.866 rounded. 25,000 times 0.886 is 22,150. It then gets the water influence of 2, bringing it to 44,300. And we add the well and septic for 22,500 for a total of $66,800. So, so when you get comparing to your neighbor's property and we're looking at fractional acres and whatnot, I feel like a lot of this complaint here with this particular case is that all the lots are a half acre, and they've got a full acre, but they're just sitting, they're looking at total values, and maybe the breakdown is where we're getting lost in translation here. And so you can clearly see where we've got $66,800 on this 0.79 acre lot. It's done in the same method. I will say that this was brought to my attention by Mr. Darash, and I would say that, you know, we have 25,000 accounts roughly in the unorganized territory, and unfortunately with that comes some human error, and we're gonna find errors here and there, and we always, like I say,
So were these calculated through a
this is calculated through, our Vision software, which is a CAMA system that does our assessments for us.
so what you're saying is it's a global calculation based on the factors you put in, or do you do them individually?
No, we set tables, so there's neighborhoods that we can select, so it knows what township we're in, and we'll then pick the correct base lot value, so on and so forth. This year was a little bit more of a error in the change in our approach as far as the majority of those lots were half an acre. And so that neighborhood got set historically to a half acre standard. So the value was based off the first half acre rather than first acre. And what I realized is that there needs to be more, because then after that half acre, we would go to excess acre. So now we're talking $800 an acre. So the difference between a half acre lot and a 1 acre lot is going to be, they both get the half acre base lot, and then the one acre lot has a half acre of excess land valued at, we'll just say $800 an acre. So you could have twice the lot with just that little added $400 of value. And we found that that wasn't what the market was showing, and that just wasn't working for us. And we needed to have more of a differentiation in value between those lots that are a half acre and those lots that are a full acre. And so we adjusted that standard base lot to 1 acre. So basically what that then did is created that 30% difference really between a half acre lot and a full acre lot. If you think of the square root of 0.5 as being 0.71, that 0.71 would be applied to that full acre value, okay? And so that's what we see with the majority of those lots down through what we would know as North and South Twin Lake, different names, really same body of water. So if we were to go back to Exhibit 2, because I want to go down through this whole list, we're going to talk about the Wymans. This is the Wyman lot. It does not have water influence.
Which one is that?
Exhibit 3, excuse me.
Exhibit 3.
Exhibit 3.
Lyman's.
And that would be the first, if you were to sort of piggyback off from this list supplied by the Darashes, it would be the first on their properties with no water influence. The Wyman lot, it is set back opposite side of the railroad tracks, very close proximity to them, falls outside of shoreland zoning, has no water view, and it gets just the standard base lot value. We've had sales in that neighborhood. We can flip on to exhibit number 4. Well, we should talk about exhibit number 4 also. That was another one that was brought up. Falls outside of shoreland zoning. Doesn't have any direct access to the water where they're just simply crossing over railroad tracks, have their own dock or anything like that. No views, nothing like that. It does on the map appear as though, and if you were to flip to exhibit 5, you'll sort of see where their lot lies, that 10.4, and you'll see where the railroad tracks run up through. There is some water on the south side of the railroad tracks there. I just argue that it's just simply, it's from the swampland, that's the green zone stuff next to them. And there's no direct, that doesn't allow any direct access out into the lake. It's an embankment along the entire side of the railroad tracks there. So it's just simply a flooded area between the tracks and the bog, offering no view, no access, no nothing. So that's why that doesn't get water influence. And I would also mark that, 19.3 is sold recently. I say recently, it's probably 5 years ago now.
The one in the lower left quadrant.
So And so if we were to, I don't have anything to it, but what I can say is, when we looked at that sale, there was no indication of a significant, when looking at the value of the building and the value paid for the lot, that there was a significant increase in land value due to its proximity to the water. And again, it falls outside of all of the criteria we're talking about between shoreline zoning and views and so on and so forth. If we were to go to Exhibit 6, which would be the McEwen property, I'm familiar with this property. I'm familiar with most properties in this township because, I've reviewed the entire township, so I've had the opportunity to visit the properties and take updated photos and review the exteriors. This particular property offers no water view. If you were to go to Exhibit 7, you would see that they are in as, on the map as 1-29, and with a lot of leases being in this particular township and going from leased land to owned land, sometimes there's been a little bit of, a few little errors in the mapping, and I had it as Plan 12, Lot 65, and so there was a little bit of confusion in locating it, but I was able to sort of track the two, and I knew the location of the building. You'll notice that this lot does fall within shoreland zoning on the far eastern end.
You're still talking about McEwen?
I am on to, yes, McEwen.
129?
Yeah.
Okay, it follows it on the Elbow Lake?
Correct, it does. It has, when it's, and so I would just argue that, sure, this was one that we missed water influence on, but I would argue that the water influence on this property isn't nearly as much of a driving force as it would in the other properties because of it not offering the view and not offering any sort of water. That's like a little cove in there. If you're familiar with
Elbow Lake,
yeah, and so I would argue that it was an error, but it's not something that would get that 2.0 factor applied to it. If we go to Exhibit 8, Jesse Muner, this is an error and should have water influence. I'm familiar with this property. You go down in, it has a camper off to the left of the road.
Is that the same area?
It is, it's just up the lake from them, I would say, maybe
It's not on this
quarter
map
mile or
that
so.
It's not listed on this one here.
It's the next page.
No, but I mean, as far as its location.
Oh, no, I don't have the map for that.
So it's further on.
This would be more north and
Northeast.
west.
Northwest?
North and west, heading up towards like South Twin Lake, like heading up towards Five
okay.
Lakes Lodge. From So this is just, a camper that sits out in the woods, and we didn't realize that there was, I say that, there was an adjacent piece of property that sort of L-shaped, and it goes down and is, situated like the other ones. It was just simply we omitted the water influence, and it's something that we need to update. Exhibit 9, Gary Kavitsky, this is also water influenced. And it was, you can see I highlighted down there, it is listed as water influence. But this was one that, again, it had an error. It has that half-acre base lot that never got adjusted to the full acre. And so that's just, again, with the change that took place and the amount of work that was going on, it was just, we had a couple of accounts that, so, I can appreciate his diligence, and because if you find my errors, I'm happy to fix them. I don't think that, erroring this account and abating it is the solution. So carrying on, Exhibit 10, Clements, water influence, and again, water influence, but an error. And so we had a handful of errors out of this strip, and I would say that this strip of lots, there's going to be probably around 20 to 25 lots that are like this. And same with the query.
If I can just ask a question.
Yeah.
Out of the items that you've identified as errors, they're undervalued, not overvalued?
They're errors and then they are undervalued. If you'd like me to speak to what the ending outcome is going to be as far as the adjustment, if I'm going to be some earth-shattering adjustment between 2025 and 2026, no, that's not the case. I ran the numbers, and on those half-acre lots, I believe that they're going to go up like $7,000 As you get closer to a full acre, there is going to be a larger influence, and I feel like that span from half acre to 1 acre, if I recall, started at right around $4,000 or $5,000 and went up to about a $9,000 or $10,000 increase in value when we correct that.
And that's
In
just the
relation-
land value,
That's
right?
just
We're
the
talking-
land,
okay.
that's just the land, and in
Clarify.
relation to taxes, given that the mill rate, I believe, is, like $6 and change, we're looking at a $10,000 increase is equivalent to like $60 on their tax bill, $60, $70 on their tax bill. But again, we were wrong. We understand that sometimes we're gonna come across these errors, and when we fix them and move on.
I think we've had an abatement here and requesting that you increase the valuation.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Okay, but, I mean, it's helpful to us as we process these.
Absolutely. So what we're looking at is we're looking at a handful of fixes that we need to do. And they're on those lots that I brought up. And like I say, they're all gonna be roughly between $4,000 and $10,000 worth of increased value once we make that fix. If I move on to exhibit, I feel like we can skip over 12 and 13. I think we established that exhibit 11 is their neighbor's property, and we had to make an adjustment to that also. And then exhibit 12 was just us going through the computation of a fractional acre and that water influence. When we get to exhibit 13, these are accounts that are priced properly, so you can see, exhibit 13, Bopay, they have their $25,000 base lot, multiplied by 2 makes $50,000. They have a dug well and septic, and so that's why we see it at $51,900.
So your dug well is priced differently from your.
Correct. And you'll also notice it's valued at $51,900, which is still less than the DeRoche property, but that again is because this is a .49 acre lot. And you can see the acreage, I should have highlighted it, it's right here, okay?
Yeah.
0.46? Excuse me? 0.46 acres, yes. And basically, exhibit 14 shows the same thing. It's a .45 acre lot with a drilled well and septic, and its value is $56,000. And again, it's water influence times 2. So if you were to do the math, square root of 0.45 multiplied by 25,000 times 2, and then we add 22.5 for the drilled well and septic. So, there is consistency here. Unfortunately, there were a few errors, and that's because there were a couple different moving parts, and that was one, basically just going from that half acre base to that full acre base. But primarily, the majority of them are less than a half acre, so I would argue that, the full acre is, especially when it comes to shoreline zoning and you're dealing with lot coverage, you can only fill so much of the lot, meaning it's not necessarily just building size, but it comes down to parking areas and accessory buildings and so on and so forth. So it does matter. And so the same with like exhibit 15 and 16, these are all just examples of the mathematical equation, and you can sort of see how it works and can see it's.
On exhibit 13 on the boat page, as you go down, in front of the boat page is the railroad,
Mhm.
and then on the other side does that property include all the way to the frontage?
No, none of these properties have water frontage. Now, the interesting part is it's really tough because they're crossing the railroad tracks to get to their own private docks on land that they don't own. So it is a water influence. They don't own the waterfront though, and I suppose the railroad could tell them to stop crossing. Well, I would argue that the railroad tracks have been there for a long time, and the camps and the docks have been there for a long time, and they haven't asked them to stop yet, so I can't really react to that. I can't really say, legal, not legal. It is what it is, and that's not necessarily even the reason for the water influence. That just happens to be the situation here. In all of these lots that they abut railroad tracks, they all have the same safety issues, they all have to watch out for their kids, their grandkids, their pets, they all have to deal with the sound of the railroad tracks. But there's a little bit of a benefit for the fact that
view.
they've got the view, and they do have some sort of access to the water there, like legal or not, like there's a dock there. I can't say that double is equivalent because of their having a dock. I argue that we're still under on them.
Well, I know in a couple of instances up the shoreline, there's, they don't own the property, but they Beechwood, so they put all their stuff there.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
cross, it. You have to go, it's like through the river and over the woods and, you know, to get the grandmothers. I mean, you're gonna, but it is, the view is there, the railroad's there, I mean, all these things, and you take into account all of these considerations?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any concluding or additional information you'd like?
Yeah, we're gonna keep flipping through this book.
Okay.
Well, I'm getting close to the end, I promise. Really, basically, like I say, I'm gonna skip over these. These are just examples. If you wanna see examples of how this water influence is done and the difference, that's what these exhibits are for. If we can get to, let's see, exhibit.
25.
We can look at Exhibit 25 real quick, just shoreland areas, you know, again, I want to drive home the fact that, you know, we sit here and say, there's no water influence. The county commissioner says there's no water influence. Yeah, sure, I can read in the statement there, they said there's no water influence. They knew that I doubled for water influence, and then they said a 20% reduction. So they apparently feel as though there's something there that, you know, that's influencing it, or they misspoke to say that there's no water influence, but we'll take 20% off even though we know it's doubled. So we did what the county commissioners asked. We removed 25% rather than 20, okay? I have a hard time with a straight face going to somebody else that does not have a property with a view of the water and the closeness to the water for me to say, yeah, but that property's not worth as much as yours because the commissioner says it doesn't have water influence. Well, no, they just said it needs to be worth 20% less than those other ones that are water influence, which is more than those off-water lots, and I think rightfully so. This is the shoreland area map. It talks about just areas within. These lots fall within shoreline zoning. I want to drive home the fact that how can we say that there's no influence from the water when they can see the water and then they're restricted by shoreline zoning, okay? This is, Exhibit 26 is the map. The map is for reference purposes only because, again, we draw this on and it may not be perfect. I would argue that these lots need to be shifted north a little bit. The DeRoche property is a little bit more adjacent to that cove and is a little further north to probably where you see that little driveway entrance drawn on the map there. So Exhibit 27, this is the view of the DeRoche camp from the end of their driveway, looking up at the camp. Really nothing more to speak to other than it appears to be a nice lot. We spoke of rocks, and there's clearly some rocks there, but I would say that that's very common to that entire area and around that entire chain of lakes. That's what the glacier did. Exhibit 28 would be the view from the railroad tracks right at the end of their driveway. That would be their swamp off to the right that they don't own. The area to the left would be the waterfront area with the dock. Again, they don't own the frontage. We're not assessing them for the frontage, but I'm just trying to say there's utility to the location of this lot. And there's certain little bennies.
Do you know
Okay?
whose dock we're looking at adjacent to the berm for the railroad track?
What's that now?
Whose dock? Yeah. Please, go ahead.
It's my dog.
That is your dock,
I
okay.
put it in front of my neighbor's camp that has water influence. I asked him if I could put it there.
Okay.
He's on the other side of the track, right?
No, he's right
He's still on the
beside me.
same side.
Yeah, right after
Same
Steve
side.
Manzo's
What
camp.
is, can I ask a question? When we go low, when we get low water there, what does it look like during low water?
Sir, I'm glad you asked.
I don't know. I mean, he doesn't own the water frontage, so.
Look how, in October 1st, they dropped the water level.
Yeah, I know they do.
As part of the licenses with Brookfield Energy, they have a big dam on the lake. So that, it's only
Is
two
this
or
your
three.
neighbors that you put the dock in, but that's your
Yes,
neighbors you're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about?
and he has water influence because the water's in front of him.
Yeah.
In front of me, I have swamp. So
And the
yes,
date that you estimated you took that,
he was at my place in September,
No, I'm talking about this.
October.
October.
I was up there. They dropped that water
All the boats are up.
15 feet, 20 feet. It's part of their licenses with the dam.
I'm a
The spawning of the
Nebraska
fish.
kid, they do the same thing. so-
Yeah, it's terrible.
What do you have?
So, I mean, I would just argue that, again, they don't own the frontage.
Right,
The lake does get drained down. I would say that it could affect certain areas of the lake other than
Oh, yeah, it would affect
others.
Homer, yeah.
But I would say as a whole, it affects everybody, and I would also argue, like what you say, generally the drain down happens in the fall, sort of past peak
Camp
boat
time.
season, because it can get cold out there. Especially with the weather coming down off from the mountain
Yeah.
and things like that. I don't think that people are out on their pontoon boats in October. And so I would just argue that, yeah, it's regulated by a hydro and it affects everybody. But when you don't own the water frontage, it really doesn't affect you.
You're year-round?
No,
No, you're
Seasonal.
seasonal.
season. Yeah.
Exhibit 29 is just another view from the railroad tracks up to the camp. 30 would be from the road before their entrance, going up through. And then 31 would basically be a picture just from the front of the camp, looking down through. And then just a picture of the garage that's adjacent to the property.
I want to commend you for all of the detail that you provided us. I mean, the visuals, which is, much appreciated. Trust me, because these things it turns into calculations rather than real situations.
So one last thing I'd like to go over, and then I think that I'll call it the end here, would be exhibit number, let's go to 20. It can be really hard when you have a strip of 25 camps that have a particular situation, and then you're trying to figure out what its market value is. And
Talking 20, did you say, James?
well, there's
Okay, yeah,
20, yes, exhibit 20. So there's a strip of camps that, are all in this similar situation. So I rely on, this chance that one of these 25 camps is going to sell. So exhibit 20 would be the sale of one of these. It's more of a home. I would say that I believe it was a short sale. I know that the place had sort of been vacant for some time. It sold for $225. We've got $234 on it. And again, we give it a water influence. I would note that a lot of the camps down Route 11 have a really steep entrance. So although they do have road frontage, or I say road frontage, they don't have road frontage, but their access is from Route 11. Say that it's really quite dangerous sometimes getting in and out of there because it's so steep. So whether you're coming out into the road and it's either winter or you're dealing with log trucks and whatnot.
I'm familiar.
And so I would note that, this all plays into effect here, but, and then exhibit 21 would be the sale of, this was a sale of a land in a camp for $70,000. If you were to flip to the second page of exhibit 21, you'll notice a new camp there. So this place sold with an old camp that had no well, no septic, no plumbing, no heat, no nothing, and they tore the camp down. So, I would argue that the price paid, $70,000, would be reflective to the value of that lot, that's 7/10 of an acre. Plus, they still had to deal with removal of the old camp. And then I would also argue that part of our valuation includes a well and septic. And when they purchased it, it had no well and septic. So they paid $70,000 for a property very similar to the DeRoche property.
But they demolished the building.
But they tore down the building and they built a new camp since and drilled a well and put a septic system in. Its access is from Route 11. Again, I have not found, especially when it comes to proximity to water, where road associations and things like that play a part in value. I would say if in anything, possibly a road association would enhance the value because you know that you're not stuck with the whole bill yourself if you want to fix the road.
Right.
You know, you're sharing the burden with others and legally so. So we really can't apply, we can't say, you know, sure, we can inflate our values and then back them off for the, you know, but at the end of the day, we're aiming towards a sale price. And we build our models to fit those sales that we have. And then we apply it to everybody equally, and it's known as mass appraisal. So, you know, I would argue just that when it comes to waterfront property, paying road association fees, not having year-round access, primarily we're not, you know, I'm not gonna say that people don't snowmobile in and out of camp or use it for snowmobiling, but I'm just saying, when it comes to bodies of water, it seems as though it's the summer and whatnot that's the peak, and again, we just go off from the market, and I haven't found any situation where I necessarily need to put reductions on properties for seasonal access, different things like
Let me
that.
ask you, on these associations, let's take the Norcross. From the highway, that's a private road, the association has a road from the highway, from the state road, up over the tracks, and then it goes each way, right?
Correct.
And so all of those camps along the waterfront on that side all belong to the association?
Correct.
And your camp, which is not part of the association, you have to pay
Yes.
access
I
to
believe,
the association to access that.
that is correct. I have
But
to,
you're only seasonal. Do you use your camp in the wintertime?
no,
You don't. So it's, as Jason suggests, it's all basically summer oriented.
yes,
Would you-
I have to belong to the association according to my deed because I have to cross association land.
Oh, so you are a member?
Yes, I am a member.
That was.
I travel that road, I go down that road probably 250 feet. Because I use that road, which I understand,
Oh, yeah.
I have to pay association fees.
Pay your pound of flesh. Okay.
Can I speak?
Thank you.
with some-
Hold on, are you concluding?
Yeah, you know, I just want to say that in conclusion, although there has been some errors pointed out, and we're happy to fix those, no problem with admitting when we're in error and we fix, but I think what I want to stress here is I don't feel as though in this particular case, in this particular account, that there is an error, okay? We did, as the county commissioners asked, and we gave them a 20% reduction. As a matter of fact, we rounded it to 25, okay? I have a hard time saying that that lot is not influenced by its proximity to the lake and some of its benefits. I understand that when it comes to being in the area of waterfront, whether it be waterfront living or just being adjacent to waterfront, that it also can come with some challenges too. But again, we have sales, we have data that shows that our valuations do fall in line with what we have going on here for a valuation basis. So with that, I have nothing else to present.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to his last thing he said, lot 20. Lot 20,
You happen to have the name of the person who
Yeah, I've got it right
yes,
here.
he just mentioned it.
I've got it right here.
Exhibit, so it's not lot 20,
No,
it's exhibit
exhibit
20.
20.
Okay,
It's
that's
Thornton.
okay.
Jesse,
This is Jesse Thornton Lucas, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, I don't know how they do that. Is it last name, surname, first name, middle name? Is that how they do that?
I think Lucas would like.
You're looking at exhibit.
Lucy could be the surname.
It's exhibit 20.
One would be
Exhibit 20,
Luke-
just
Lucas. I have
Okay.
Lucas is the
I
last.
just wanna prove to you, he said they have to go down roads, they don't. These are the lots right here, they have frontage on Route 11, State Road,
Okay,
and there's
so
a,
this,
May I just say that I said that they are on Route 11, it's just steep down in Route 11.
I know.
steep,
so they do have
Frontage.
road frontage
Yes,
on
they
a
do.
public road.
and they're year-round places.
Okay,
Okay, I just
Okay.
want, because he said something about private roads or
No,
whatever.
he's, but I do know that the steepage that in the wintertime, because I've gotten calls from people, because if the state doesn't take care of that road, it's you know, it's dangerous for those folks who do have their way
Understood,
there.
but
Oh, yeah.
in reality, it is frontage on a state road.
Yeah, steep or not, who,
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, my other thing is, I'm gonna close on mine,
Okay,
I'm gonna say that last.
okay.
Justin seems to take this article on, shoreline
And we're
zone.
looking at a document that
Exactly,
is in the
exactly,
packet,
exactly, 25.
Exhibit 25, which is, I believe, near the end of the,
Yes.
okay.
And this title puts restrictions on people's properties.
Okay,
It was put up by the Environmental Protection Board. It's to protect the fish and the wildlife, like Justin said. But with this policy, it clearly states if you're by great ponds, rivers, wetlands, or streams, you fall underneath this, and you have setbacks. You have limitations on your land.
okay.
When he's doing just the quotes about the lands around my place, he said, it's a wetland, you really can't use it. Hey, it's so what, it comes up on this right here. It falls within these rules. If he's gonna use these rules, like he wants to use with me, I admit, I got a swamp across my here. I have a wetland off the left of it, the stream runs down through. So yes, I do have to abide by these rules.
Okay,
But if you're gonna use it on me, you gotta use it on those other peoples that I gave preferences. Just because they're by a swamp, if he wants to bring this up. And this is very, very tricky. Somebody could get in, if you're gonna use that for more evaluation. Okay, on my last statement, he said he's giving me a 1.5 multiplication factor for water influence. According to the board, when I was here in 2018, I didn't come to fight that because that was determined I do not have water influence. So why is he taking 50% off somebody that has water influence and add it to me? I don't have it. The 20%,
you don't dispute that you have access to the water, though? You got a dock in the lake?
yes, I do.
Okay, all right.
I do, but I fought that battle here and I don't have water influence, but that's that
But
model.
we're talking an influence versus actual owned frontage on the lake. We want to make sure that that's clear in the discussion here.
Yeah, nobody has water frontage. It's all water influence or no water influence.
Okay.
I have no water influence.
Understood.
And he talks about that 20% that the state said they was gonna give me off.
Well, the commission, I believe.
Yeah, the
correctly.
commission said that. And what they did was, they took 20% off my land value. And they knocked it down $5,100. They didn't say, take 20% off water influence, like Justin's saying. Or in his other letter, he's saying, we're giving you 50% off water influence. They're not
That's the
saying that.
packet, is it not, Mr.?
Yeah, that's,
in the packet.
yeah, it's in the packet.
Yeah.
That's not what the commission was saying for him to do.
And I would speak to the reason why we gave that from 2 to 1.5 is because that's why we did that, because they said 20%.
Off
And
the
in order
land
to get to
value.
20%, I needed to take off more. They said, remove 20%
Off
from the
land
land
value.
value. And the way we took 20% off from the full value to what it is now is to adjust that factor by 50% was an equal a 25% reduction. So we met their request of the 20% reduction and exceeded it by another 5%.
That's not what they're saying. That's not what they're saying. This clearly states, I have no water value, and because he taxed me water value, they said take 20% off my land value, hard cash, $5,000.
The motion was to reduce the value of the building by 6,000 and
Yeah.
the land by 20%.
Yes.
So we're talking just about the land.
Yes,
So it's a reduction of 20% of
off
the land value.
land value. That's why they took $5,000 off. They didn't say to Justin, take 25% off?
Justin may not have worked for the department in 2008.
Yeah, but he didn't follow these rules. Who has more rules, the board or him?
I just want to be clear, we're talking about the land value, and you're applying a 25%, Justin, a 25% reduction to the land value.
Correct.
Okay, so.
Of water influence. Off a formula they use to determine your value. He's taken 20%, 25% off the water influence formula. He's not taking 25% off my land value. And in his first letter that he sent me, he says, your land currently reflects a 50%. That's not true. That is not true at all. My land does not have a 50%.
But I think we've understood, we've stipulated that the amount we're dealing with is 20% minimum, and they are doing, in their calculation, 25. And I understand you're disputing whether it's the total value or the water influence value, so.
Right, it is.
That was in 2018. I don't know what formula the state used in 2018 to determine water influence, so I think we gotta look
Were you
at
around
what it
then?
was now.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He was here.
Okay, all right. I just didn't want to presume anything that we didn't.
Yeah, but I just want to drive home, I do not have water influence. He shouldn't be taking the 25% off water influence. I don't have water influence. I went through this in 2018. Now, if he wants to take money off my land value, okay, but water influence doesn't play in here.
Do you have anything else you would like to say to address that now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it would be a huge inequity to further reduce this property. It's already valued lower than the property right next to it. They all have the exact same benefit of having a dock on land that they do not own. So let's throw it right out of, like, it doesn't even matter. None of them own it. As far as the quality of the frontage, yeah, there's gonna be some variation as there is on most shorelines. I would aim towards that reduction being on that cove or whatnot. We're getting lost in translation here of, yeah, there's no water influence, but there is, because all they said was to reduce 20% off from the land value, and that's exactly what we did.
But you've actually reduced it 25.
Correct. And I would have a hard time with a straight face going a couple townships over, heading towards Brownville, somebody that lives out in the middle of nowheres, doesn't have a dog, doesn't have a view of the lake, and I tell them, yeah, well, the DeRushes, their land value is 20% less than yours, because it's not water influenced, even though their property boundary is 100 feet from the water line. I mean, there just seems that there's, just needs to be some comparison to other properties and how that's going to affect everybody if we make an adjustment to this one property.
Are there other questions from the commission for either party at this point?
No, I think we can do it.
Do you have any final statement you'd like to share?
I came here prepared to tell you what I have as physical information and valuations. I didn't come 100% prepared to fight water influence, because it's already been handled. If he wants to bring this up again, I want another date, and I'm gonna bring my information in and prove to the board, like I did before in 2018, I do not have water influence.
But with all due respect, sir, you do have a dock on the lake.
I do, across the tracks in front of my neighbor's camp. I have a swamp across me.
I understand that, sir, but your neighbor does not own shore frontage, but has access to use the water.
We use it, we're not supposed to. The railroad, at any time, the railroad police come
I
by.
understand that.
It's all private
I
property.
understand that. But you understand, in this deliberation, we've got to take various factors into consideration.
Right, and I hope you take in factor that the previous board 100% said I did not have water influence. And that's where he's taking that 25% reduction from.
Okay. Do we have any other information that we need at this point? I appreciate both of you. I realize this
Thank
is
you, and I apologize.
passionate, no, I realize this is a passionate issue for everyone. I think we have ample documentation. So we will again take this under advisement as we typically do. We'll have a workshop where we will have a chance to study what we have. We record this so we can also go back and listen to testimony. So with that, I appreciate you taking the time to come down. I appreciate the details that you've provided to the state as well. Thank you. May we keep this picture, or is that something you
No,
guys
you can have that,
thank you
yes.
for?
Yeah.
You do have notes on the back of
Excellent
that. We can
preparation.
make that.
That's all right.
Okay.
There's a bell, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry for
May have your
confusion last
special
time.
recipe or something.
I gave you guys a hornet's nest to deal with.
You said,
She was just telling me,
You can make a
tell
copy
them
of
what to
that.
do.
she was telling me to be respectful. Can I have that back?
Yeah.
Working
I know
for
what
30
all
years.
those are.
I know what you guys have been doing, I know you don't want here.
This one's here.
Yeah, that was mine too.
So we will have another map that I believe you want Marianne to make a copy for our records. If she doesn't have that yet, if you can.
If you want to, the only thing, they're out of my area, they're like 3/4 mile down. But
Well, in the maps that you brought, there was something you referenced that would be helpful to us to have. So Marianne can take that and make copies. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank
to the
you
board.
all for being here.
yes, thank you.
How was your first day?
Okay.
We have some new people
Other
there
items
from
to come
Bay
before
Revenue.
the commission. We have-
Including myself. If you didn't notice with me speaking.
We voted.
Yeah, we voted on the,
Yeah, before we get to time to.
yeah. While you were,
Take a break and have some.
yeah, all right. At this point, we will ask those of the public to leave. We're going to hold another executive session. No, we had.
See you next year.
I think it would be helpful in inviting you guys, at least to come down to the county commission meetings and make a presentation. Maybe